from your observations and your meetings with people and what you're doing commercially, what difference has it made to telco so far? Like, what are they actually doing with generative AI that they weren't doing with... I mean, this thing you were at in Germany, for instance, was a lot of that about how they're using generative AI in their kind of...
Why don't you give her a softball, mate? I'm only joking. I'm just winding you up.
Well, I think, this is a good question, because I think people have been using predictive AI, like machine learning, for a while.
Yeah.
We're not talking about that right now, right? That's sort of like old AI or done and dusted, or everyone gets that. Everyone is talking about
but still used and still useful. Yeah.
Totally useful.
Yeah.
Great.
But it's a bit so last decade. In terms
it's not the cool hotness, right?
Yeah.
So the generative AI is brand new, like you said, a couple years old. And I think when you go and talk to telcos, they don't know how to apply it.
Hello and welcome to your second telecoms.com podcast of the week. We're so dedicated to you, our beloved audience. And I'm delighted to say we've got a guest again, a returning guest, Danielle Rios. I nearly said Royston.
I know. It'd be easy because it's an English name.
At least it's DR all the way.
It still is.
So, often known as, you often go as DR, don't you?
Always.
Always. Okay,
Yeah.
I'll just call you DR then. Like JR at Dallas.
Yeah, like that. Yeah.
Welcome back, Danielle, or DR.
Yeah.
No, I've got to call you Danielle. I can't call you.
You can call me
I don't know
Danielle.
anyone who I call by that.
But I do have one question.
We're probably the only two people who call you Danielle.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
We're probably the only two people who call you
probably.
Danielle.
Yeah, you might be. But my one question is, if I come on 5 times, is there like a 5-timers like jacket, like on SNL?
Oh, we should do that. That's a
Right,
good idea.
no, we don't have any merch.
Swag.
We need merch.
It's like more like a trophy.
We should give everyone a metal T-shirt or something.
Totally.
One of those really mental sort of death
I got
metal
a little.
ones with lots of
I got one of your
skulls
little
and stuff on it.
Yeti drinks things sent through. I remember. I was
Yeah.
trying one that-
Talking about merch,
A beer
people who
koozie.
don't know, this Yeti that we use every single episode, Danielle brought us, 6 years ago?
No,
something
not
like
that long.
Not that
Probably
long?
like 3 or...
I think it was around.
It was after the
So what-
pandemic.
22?
Oh, it was
21,
post-pandemic,
I think.
was it? God, I thought it was pre. There we go.
Yeah.
She'd already done the taking over the Ericsson stand at Mobile
I had done
Congress
Cloud
by
City.
then.
Right, okay, well, you've all got
Like-
better memory and you're less senile than I am, and good for you. So anyway, it's good to have you back. And then we had you more recently, and then we were having a go at the public cloud, which we might do again today.
That's fine.
Given what happened earlier on this week.
Sure.
And then you lent into that. We called you a public cloud cheerleader, so you brought pom-poms
I
and
did.
stuff like that. Which
And
was
a number
cool
one,
thing.
a giant foam number 1.
Yeah. Oh, yes, that's right. Look, one of those pointy fingers.
Totally.
Yeah.
And then we had you on as one of our guests on the Mobile World Conference,
Which was
MWC
a
one.
great idea.
Which was-
I think I brought...
Yeah.
Your great idea was only Danielle. I was telling my wife about this in the car when she was driving me to the station, that you brought 2 cocktail waiters and a trolley and all the stuff, and they were mixing us
that's it. I remember-
old fashions
yeah.
live
Yeah.
while we were recording. I remember the first sip of it, because of course, being us, we'd been out a fair bit prior to that.
Yeah.
First sip of that, I was like, "Ooh!" And then
By
it
the
kicks in,
end.
and then suddenly, right, I'm ready to rock.
It's like medicine then.
It was
Yeah, yeah.
medicinal. Yeah.
Yeah, hair of
exactly.
the dog, maybe a little bit.
So,
it was delicious.
It's good.
So I'm going
Very
to say, actually, you're hiding something under.
I am hiding. I always bring gifts. I sort of
Yeah.
feel like, I don't know, the hostess in me.
So I thought I'd
But
let you get that.
I
sorted.
noticed you guys like this brew dog, but
Oh
but
wow!
the Yeti
look at
koozie will replace the
Oh.
janky cake koozies.
Hi.
It's got
Higher.
Yeah. Oh, there.
So it's branded.
Sorry,
with
Mary, you've got
telecoms.com.
competition for the koozies.
it's got your brand on it.
It has your brand.
Yeah,
You know me. So
branded.
there you go.
That is very cool.
I
And
have
you
one.
even put a.
I put a brew dog in there for you guys.
Excellent.
Here's one for Ian.
Thank you very much.
There you go.
We'll swap out these breed dogs.
Yes.
And then I bought one for Pierre.
Oh, you didn't forget me. Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then I branded with me,
Thank you very much.
And you got your own one.
Telco DR.
Nice.
Yeah. So I got mine, and they're different in the UK than the United States. I have one for home, but you guys have like different size cans, I guess. So
Right, so you
I had to
had to
get a
get-
special UK Yeti.
Oh, nice one. Your attention to detail is unsurpassed, Danielle.
It's,
Thank you
well, I
very
have
much.
it's really.
That's
I
brilliant. So
have a
now we
really-
got
really great support team that helped me do amazing.
They do, and we should say we've got your right hand person, Lindsay,
Yes, Lindsay.
in
on
the background. Hi,
camera.
Lindsay.
And the beer is cold.
And the beer is cold. Good skills. And we should also give a shout out to Jen Hibbard from Liberty, who works with Elena. And she, unfortunately, we only got room for 1+1 in here.
Yeah.
So she's just doing some work or chilling or taking in the view or whatever outside.
Well, minding the beers. No, we have extra beers here. Should I open? Is that okay?
Oh, yeah. Do you know what? I'm going to chuck so this is another thing that we always do. I always get ice before we come in, and then we put it in the Yeti. So if you've got another couple of tins, I'll chuck them in there, and we'll put ice on them.
I didn't actually bring any booze today.
No, well, that's because you figured you didn't need to, quite rightly.
I thought there might be.
She's got a whole suitcase of beers.
Lots of
Pierre
beer.
only has a couple of hours, but
Oh my God.
yeah.
She's basically, for people listening and watching, she's bought a shitload of Brewdog.
2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16 beers. For 4 of us, I am not going to have 4 beers on this podcast.
It'll be all right today then.
Do you want a couple?
Yeah, just grab a couple. I'll put them in the Yeti, and then we'll crack on because we've got a hard stop.
Here you go.
Nice one. Thank you very much,
you.
Danielle.
You're welcome.
That's very kind.
And they're all really cold as
They're
well.
nice and cold. They're ready to go. Just seal that up, and we're
good to go.
rolling.
What are you drinking there, Danielle?
I am having a Lost Lager.
Okay,
Yeah, we've still
My
got.
brew dog as well. I'm not going to take
You
it
prefer the lagers to the pale ales, do you?
out. I don't know.
Okay. Well, we'll see how you feel.
Well, I was like, I wanted something light, and I don't know if this is light.
Brewdog makes a Baby Jane, which is only 3% as well.
Is that what this? This is Wingman.
Yeah, that's also 4%.
They're okay.
It's more.
No, I think it's the same.
I got a. This looks like the platypus from
Oh yeah, Wingman. They do a pale ale. with Wingman
what's his
as well.
name? What's that cartoon? I can't remember. Phineas and Ferb.
Right.
Children.
This is 4.8, so it's not
It's
not for
stronger.
drinking violet. Well, 4.8. 4.8's at the upper end. These are about 5%, I
Oh,
think.
okay.
Yeah.
When it's rigid, this koozie that you call it. We don't use the word koozie. It looks like
It's a
from the outside.
coolster.
It looks like the tin's like baked into it, doesn't it?
Well, you twist it open
It
and
does.
loosen it up.
It looks like it can never
this
be
black
open.
thing is
It will
what's
never
sealed
get
up.
loose.
Oh, look at that.
Oh, very
And this
good.
thing will keep it cold, so you may not
Yeah.
need the cooler and the ice.
It's
Sorry,
very,
Mary, this is an
I'm
upgrade.
I'm making
These might get
things-
relegated.
I'm making things even more simple, just like AI.
It's fused perfectly with the
Little segue
the
for
can.
you.
It looks like.
I mean,
doesn't it?
technically,
Exactly, that's what I was just
the
saying.
ring is really if you want to like carry it around in your backpack or something.
So it doesn't get lost or loose or whatever.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Just always improving.
yeah,
right?
and I love the branding. This is very cool.
Yeah. You'll use it up in-
I'll stick that on
Throw
the
that in.
ice as well.
So when you drink, Scott, you have to make sure you put the brand like out.
Yes.
Yeah, you got to be like, here we're.
When I get pissed, I like to do it with telecoms.com.
Well, this is
right.
pretty good.
So we'll crack on because we've got a time limit. It's great to have you here. You made a big effort. You've just been in Germany, haven't you?
I was just at the new AI native forum that Telecom TV
with
put on.
Ray and Co.
Yeah,
It sounds like, judging by LinkedIn, it was sold out as well, so they've done
it
well. there.
was. They
Good for
had to
them.
rearrange their floor plan to make more room for more people, which was great.
We should buy them in.
We
shouldn't
should. Yeah.
We bought Ray before. We
Yeah.
can do it again. Why don't we buy Steve while we're at it? What can go wrong? So don't worry, Steve doesn't listen to this. Yes. I don't think. I mean, we did a pod earlier on this week, so we can just get straight into it. There's no real opening bollocks, and we kind of done that with all the beers, haven't we?
Sure.
Yeah.
We haven't been out anywhere since Tuesday.
Although we should give a shout out to the Ericsson people we met.
Yep.
So to Beth, and we both met Beth. She met us after the Tuesday pod.
Yes.
And then you went and met Ralph, was it?
I met Ralph Bagner,
Okay,
who's sort of
so-
head of comms.
So shout out to those
Wednesday.
Ericsson comms people that we hung out with. But I'll get straight into it then, Daniel. I'll pass the ball to you. What were you in Germany at Ray's event for?
Yeah, so, they really wanted that event to focus on real use cases. How are operators really getting AI into their organizations? And it is a struggle. I mean, it's not a telecoms problem. It's every large organization. I mean, there's kind of maybe 3 pieces. There's the technology itself. What tools do you pick? There's training your people because no one really knows this.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think there's a culture shift because there's a natural reaction to fight it or resist it or question what this means for me.
I bet you saw it a few months ago, I think it was. We spoke about it on one pod where it's just me and Ian, and we announced at the start that we were going to shit on AI. And there was a study out of MIT or somewhere that was talking about a very high proportion
95%.
of enterprise implementations weren't paying off. But it was nuanced. It wasn't saying it's because AI is rubbish.
Yeah.
It's because the implementation wasn't done right.
Yeah, I think, like I said, I think you really need to think through the HR side, the human side of rolling it out. And I think I think there's a lot more than to just putting together an agent and throwing it out there. I think you need to really think through what's called context engineering. How do you give the AI the guardrails, the context of the work?
So that's like an escalation of prompt engineering. It's like
it's a little bit more than prompt.
Right.
I think is kind of where we're at, but where you give it enough of guardrails so that the answers are more likely to be correct. And what I mean by more likely, like high 90s.
Yeah.
And so that you can let it loose into your organization and feel like it's not going to ruin your business. Or
is even that high enough? Or are we getting into that like 4 nines or whatever they call
5 nines.
5 nines.
Yeah,
that's a reliability thing for carrier infrastructure. Really.
But if you are gonna, to quote Danielle, let it loose on your business, I mean, it's even a 5% error rate.
But that's downtime for a network. Whereas if you're,
I'm not saying exactly the same, but I'm querying. I'm setting up a whole new query of whether or not we need to aim for a similar level. In terms of, and this might be relevant when we bring up the AWS thing.
Yeah.
In terms of if it even goes wrong 5% of the time,
but that's
isn't
different.
that bad.
That's not an AI thing. That's just
no, but it's it's downtime or it's things going wrong.
Or just correctness,
but
right? I think he's asking, how correct does it need to be?
I mean that's mistakes rather than, because sometimes it doesn't need to be on. The AI is not doing anything.
That's true, and the mistakes don't need to be catastrophic. Yeah, I get it.
I think it depends on where it's deployed. Like, I think people will handle a mistake in a chatbot if you can pull an andion or whatever it's called in, like, on a bus and say, escalate me to human.
Yeah.
Right. It's not that big. You can say at the bottom, disclaimer, this is AI and it may make mistakes. But I think, again, in like a network, you might need higher.
Yeah, no, totally. Ian's right to correct me on that. I wasn't making a direct connection. It just made me think of these ways of measuring sort of accuracy and perfection.
Just on that, though, on the kind of, they call it hallucinations, don't they? Which I think is a bit of a strange expression for it, because it's just like mistakes to me.
Yeah.
But I noticed even, the one that I encounter all the time, because you can't really escape from it actually, is Gemini on Google, because you're going to use Google as your search engine. And
right.
Unfortunately, these days, there's sort of no way of deactivating their AI. And it comes up with these summaries at the top of anything you put in. And they're frequently really, like, quite badly wrong.
Right.
Even on sort of quite simple queries sometimes. I remember putting something in just to sort of test it on countries with a population of fewer than 5 million people, and it was coming out with things like South Korea, which is like 40 million or something.
Right.
And I just kind of wondered,
and did it have a hyperlink? Because it normally has a link to the source.
I can't remember.
Right.
It usually does. If you're searching on Google at the top and you're talking that top summary, you can say, like, work more with AI and it will give you the source.
But it's still, even if the source was errant, it's still not very clever of it.
But the other thing I've noticed people saying about generative AI is it's good for, which I found really curious about AI, because it's sort of contrary to what I'd expect, is that it's very good for getting it to write, say, a paragraph of text on, I mean, it's not going to be Martin Amis, but it can generate something that's workable. But if you put sort of simple arithmetic into it, sometimes it makes mistakes.
Yeah.
Whereas I would have thought that AI would be, that's what it would be really good at, is the number stuff.
Right.
Machines and figuring.
There's all these different packages that you can use with the model, that's the LLM you're working with, right? And I'd say the two main models that everyone really uses is the OpenAI one, which is known as ChatGPT, and then the other big one is Anthropic's Claude that a lot of people haven't used. Those are probably the two best. Elon Musk is working really hard with his Grok one, and it's coming up very strong. Surprisingly, he's done it. DeepSeek from China famously trained and took like a lot less dollars to train it to become really good. Yeah. But I think the two main ones are OpenAI and Anthropic. Those are the two kind of neck and neck.
Are you because the DeepSeek story has been quite controversial, isn't it? It's like, did they actually really get access to chips they weren't supposed to? Is it as efficient?
I don't know
as it's cracked up to be? I'm not sure where that's gone since.
Pod we did earlier on this week.
I don't know whatever happened. I don't know that, supposedly they kind of went through Singapore or something, got their hands on some NVIDIA chips or whatever. But, I think there's definitely model differences. Like with Gemini, you noticed I didn't put it in the top 3. I think it is way off.
That's interesting.
I think with math, there's there's components you can call to make the math more reliable, right? Just like there's different tools you would use for coding. And so it kind of, there's different tools like for picture generation.
Claude's considered better for coding, isn't it?
Yeah, it
The
still
Anthropic
is.
one. Right.
It's still, ChatGPT is really trying to challenge them on that. That's their latest drop that happened at the end of September. They were like, we're as good as and maybe even better. But then when engineers got their hands on it, they're like, Claude's still better. But, the more you use it, the more you realize how you can make it be more right.
Yeah.
Right. And some of that is you as a prompter, like becoming skilled. And it's just kind of like how you had to become a good searcher on Google, right? If you didn't know how to like use keywords and do it right, you can get kind of crappy results and you're hunting for what you're looking for. But if you get really good at Google, then usually in the first page, you're going to get your answer. And the same thing is with prompting. And then the second thing is really learning about giving it the context it needs so that it's more likely to produce the right answer.
So the prompting, just to be clear, because a lot of people would probably just
don't know.
And they do it in a casual way, like tell me this or that. And I know, like Scott's son probably knows more about this stuff because I think he's been
studying it. But prompt engineering is a big thing.
Natural language, but just being very specific about what you want, essentially, and putting in the right kind of expressions and being very, very clear about what you're looking for.
Right. You kind of want to bound it a little bit. I'm looking, I want my tone to be this. My audience is this. The length is this. The topic is this. Don't talk about that. Right. Because if you just say, write a paragraph on the cloud,
it's got too much to choose from.
It doesn't know if you're private, public, AWS, Google.
Does it ever come back and go, can you be a bit more fucking specific?
It does. It does. It's like sometimes by accident I hit enter. I'm like, let's write a blog. And I hit enter.
Right, and
it's like, what about what?
Help me to help you.
Right. And or I'll say I'll be too high level and it'll say, okay, if you give me some more instructions, I can write a really great blog. But both of those products have the concept of like a project where it's like, okay, like I have a blog project and I have custom instructions. That's like, this is always for a telco executive. Make it about, 1,200 words long. Your tone should be this. Always start with a controversial take that, whatever. And then, cite examples, go look, please research CSP examples because not just generic don't use a bank, right? Use Vodafone or whatever.
I don't use AI very much at all. I know that's quite heretical of me in this day and age. But I would imagine what would be useful, especially to someone who hasn't bothered to learn prompt best practice, as you seem to have, is to have a drilling down process. Like, Scott, you asked for this, but, I can give you a go there, but you might want to... I suggest parameters, suggest prompts maybe.
Right.
But then I suppose that's a bit circular, isn't it? You don't want the AI suggesting prompts to you, they should be yours.
Oh, it
So
can.
It can get a bit circular.
It's called meta prompting.
There we go.
So, like, let's say you work with it and you finally get to something you're like, oh, that was actually what I was looking for. That's the paragraph that I wanted.
Yeah.
What I'll do is I'll say, write the prompt that would have produced this much sooner in our dialogue. Boom. And then you save it.
Right, I see. Oh, and then you know for next time.
Yeah, put it in a doc and
There's
be like...
trial and error.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
No, but that's right. Reverse engineering it to say, what could I have
I'm
said
a dumbass, but write the prompt.
What could I have said in much fewer words to get this desired outcome?
You can reverse engineer, but it's trial and error to some extent, and then you get it right, and then you save that, and then I guess you can refine that in future to make
it'll be a whole skill set for everyone to learn.
Absolutely right. You can make him part of the instruction.
Perhaps not everyone, except Luddites.
Well, everyone I know that's been
middle-aged Luddites.
Everyone that I know
me too, mate. Me too.
Everyone I know that's been anti-AI, and then they start to kind of dabble.
Yeah. Start to see the light.
They don't go back.
That's why I don't use it.
They love it.
I don't want to fall in love with it. I don't want to be like that guy in the film.
He doesn't want it to become his precious. My precious
like
ChatGPT.
Yeah,
like,
no, there's a
write a salacious article about the public cloud. If it's another outage, I'm so excited. Do it in the style of
POC.
Her.
right? Like
that's
it's
it.
her. Yeah. No. Well, one time I wrote a prompt for you in one of my newsletters, which is like I built a prompt for Ian Morris where it starts with like some sort of historical reference to some calamity to start my
is this his opening paragraph?
right? It's his opening paragraph because he has a
He's
very
got-
distinct.
no,
sound.
I often tease him about it on the
Right,
pod.
and I was
So,
like,
yeah.
write an article in the style of Ian Morris on this topic, and it starts out with a little. And
Yeah,
I'm
I think
like,
Jeff Hollingworth did the same at
Yeah.
some point.
Yeah, he put it on LinkedIn, didn't he?
yeah, and I
Can
put it in my newsletter.
Can I say a quick minor tangent? You were talking about maths, or math if you're American. They only got one math over there.
Telecom and telecoms, isn't it?
They got
Yeah.
and there was a thing. How long ago was this? What's the date on this story? Why don't you put a date on your story? Where OpenAI claimed, some people from OpenAI claimed that OpenAI had solved these maths things that had been unsolved, like these real Goodwill
Proofs.
Hunting,
Yeah.
sort of things.
Only Matt Damon can do normally.
Exactly. I think they were called Erdos problems. I don't know how you pronounce the
Yeah, yeah.
accent above the O.
Yeah.
Right.
And anyway, and it turned out what it had done, it was very embarrassing for OpenAI because it turned out what it had done, it hadn't solved anything, it hadn't done any maths.
Right.
It had just done a really good search engine job of going around the internet and finding some other people who'd already suggested problems.
But that's the
to
short,
this
yeah,
shit.
because that's the shortcoming, I suppose, of AI at the moment. I'm not saying it will always be that way, and actually maybe we don't want it to be as good as that to come up with new solutions to things, because that's innovation, isn't
on
it?
its own. Yeah.
It's not going over what's already on the internet.
Yeah, I mean,
and
we haven't
putting it
hit,
into-
what is it? Artificial general intelligence, where it's actually
That's where we really start
and maybe
freaking
never
out.
will, but
probably, but you
think
still
we-
need humans.
You think we're
to
paranoid
guide it.
now?
I know. You guys especially.
Oh, I met Mavenir this week, and
Yeah.
I can say this because it was on the record. The guy who's like their AI guy,
Yeah.
And I was asking him what level. We might talk about this in a bit, but the levels that the TM forums come up with for measuring how automated your network is, and
Yeah.
0 basically means people are running around and pushing buttons. Still.
Right, manual.
5 is like there's like a CEO having a
Robot,
coffee
yeah.
and. Everything else just runs. And I said to him, what is level 5 automation? And I didn't expect this answer, but he went, it's basically like the Terminator.
Right. And you were like,
Skynet.
see, that's what I keep telling you. Why don't people listen to me? Can I, by the way, I'm distracted. Do you mind if I have a look at
You
your
can-
phone?
yeah.
Danielle's got the new super thin,
The sexy phone.
Which is not selling apparently.
isn't it?
I don't know.
reduced
I
production
know
by
so many
80%.
people with it.
Because
I know.
as you say, it looks
It's selling
like
in America.
half a fold out.
Yeah, well, no, I mean, the reason I wrote it up, sorry, this is a complete tangent. It's very lovely design, though.
It
Fair
feels
play.
weird.
What's
nice.
so
It is a
great
nice
about
design.
this is the blue one.
Yeah.
It's very
Which is-
light.
Like it has a hint of, you see how it's like the metal has a hint of blue?
Right.
Yeah.
And a little bit the back. But when you go in the store, the colors are blue, white,
And black.
silver, and black. And the black one is completely obvious. It's very much a boy phone. Very matte, very black.
Or a goth woman.
Sorry, right? For all you goth women out there that listen to the podcast.
Lindsay likes black. Maybe she'd like it.
But it was kind of hard to tell the difference between the gold and the white and the blue.
Yeah.
And it's just like this hint of blue, but it's perfect. And this is a problem I'm sure you guys are faced with often. The cocktail purse problem, right? The little
tell me
clutch,
about it.
right?
It
Like
fits,
this is
yeah.
perfect for like.
One thing though,
Right.
the speaker is absolutely dog shit, which it has to be because it's so small.
Right.
It only has one speaker. But I mean, some people don't use the
I
speaker.
don't use a speaker.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
good
yeah.
enough.
So the only reason I wrote it up as half a foldy phone is because
That's what they said.
is because these the foldy phones obviously have to be thinner
Yeah,
because if each one was a normal phone, it'd be too fat.
Yeah.
And so I imagined while I concede, now seeing it in the flesh, it's a cool design, it's an attractive phone. It still feels like a precursor to the future Apple foldy phone.
Yeah, probably.
And they might even
Like,
end up fading
someone
this
said,
out.
and I
That
don't-
could be a collector's item.
Someone said, and I don't know if this is true, that all of the phone tech is in this little.
It is.
thing.
The little
It's all
The
bump.
rest is battery.
Yeah.
Really? So
Yeah.
all the
Yeah, the
PCB and stuff is just
So
in the
this-
bump.
It's here, and the
That's
rest
incredible.
is battery.
They
So
tore it
maybe
down.
that's where they're
So if
going.
you drop it, you make sure you drop it that way, Danielle.
I guess.
Well, it's still not much good with a knackered battery, though, is it?
Right? And so maybe that's where they're going. If they can keep shrinking the battery, we're going to go.
God, that's amazing. You can squeeze all that cleverness.
It's pretty
into that
insane.
little spot.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Wait, so one more thing about
yeah.
AI that's going to freak Ian out. I
Okay.
was at a friend's house last weekend and he works for Google and he has Gemini reads his email
right.
and then basically answer, and he checks it before he sends it, but the AI kind of like reads
Does the
everything and
answer.
goes, "This is where you should answer," and then he
goes, "Yeah, go on
tweaks
then."
it, and then
Right.
Perfect.
and he's trained Gemini to be perfectly fitted for himself, but
Well, that's actually a good way to bring it back
What
to.
does he do with all that extra time that he's got now?
That's a good
More
point.
work.
he's just more productive.
Yeah, more work.
He gets pissed.
You can do so much. It's amazing.
We should come up. The three of us will come up with a new AI product called the Pub Bot,
yeah.
where you can go down the pub, but your boss, it'll look like you're working.
Oh, that's great.
I've got a good way of getting it into telecoms.
Well, actually,
Go
yeah,
on.
good. No, you go.
I was
you
just
go.
going to say, like, because we're talking about it in a kind of general sense at the moment.
Yeah.
And generative AI, I mean, AI's been around a long time, but
Mm-hmm.
the generative AI is what, 2022, I guess? Is when,
Like November of 22.
yeah. So, like, from your observations and your meetings with people and what you're doing commercially, what difference has it made to telco so far? Like, what are they actually doing with generative AI that they weren't doing with? I mean, this thing you were at in Germany, for instance, was a lot of that about how they're using generative AI in their kind of.
Why don't you give her a
networks
softball, mate?
Or
I'm only joking. I'm just winding you.
Well,
up.
well, I think, well, this is a good question because I think people have been using predictive AI, like machine learning, for a while.
Yeah.
We're not talking about that right now, right? That's sort of like old AI or done and dusted, or everyone gets that. Everyone is talking about
But still used and still useful. Yeah.
totally
Yeah,
useful.
Yeah.
Great.
But it's a bit so last decade. In terms
Well, it's
of
just, it's not
whatever
the
else
cool
talking about.
hotness, right?
Yeah.
So the generative AI is brand new, like you said, a couple years old. And I think when you go and talk to telcos, they don't know how to apply it. They don't have people inside using it. They're still doing things kind of the old way with like pilots and RFPs, and that's just not going to work.
Yeah.
And what I talked about on my panel is you really got to get this from 0 to 1. Like you don't have any real kind of app production, widespread use cases, and you need to get from 0 to 1. And once you get to 1, people are like, it really is an eye-opener and an idea generator, and people are like, oh, we can use it for this and that, whatever, and then off it goes. But there's a lot of resistance from going from 0 to 1.
Right.
Well,
And then
you're in good
everyone's
company
talking
for that.
about network applications, and I'm like, you're never going to let your network do this because of all the fear that, the hallucinations or it's not correct, and are we really going to let it go wild? So I advocate start with somewhere safer.
Yeah.
Right? Less risky. And the easy place to start is customer support, right?
Yep.
It's structured data with a ton of human generated correct answers because they're solved tickets. Just go build a RAG database on your solved tickets.
I tell you, I got a little tangent for that. My wife bought a bunch of stuff from Zara.
Yeah.
And they sent completely the wrong stuff, just random stuff. And she's having a fucking nightmare dealing with their customer support.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons is, and this isn't a knock on automation or AI in general, this is a knock on Zara's specific implementation. If anything, this supports your point.
Yeah.
They've implemented it so badly that she's just getting absolutely nowhere. She's being put in this bureaucratic loop where one thing sends her to another thing, which sends her back to the first thing. There's no escalation to a human being at any stage. And, this is Zara, a world-class brand.
Yeah.
And they're screwing it up. Such that I'm quite happy to slag them off on this pod and
Maybe
encourage my wife to not shop with them again.
The return code is RMA.
But that's, just an anecdotal illustration of pretty much what you're saying about, especially if you're going to deal with people like me, where I'm kind of on a skeptical hair trigger with this stuff. You better do it right. Don't rush it in. It's not a race, despite what the politicians would have us believe.
Yep.
Just do it properly.
I think you scaffold it up over time for sure.
How is generative AI helpful in that kind of area, that sort of customer area that you're talking about? Like you feed in a lot of the information that you're getting. You're sort of doing a small language model, maybe, I guess.
No, you use the big guys.
Use the big guys, you just tweak it.
Yeah, you just do, model tuning. You do this thing where it's called retrieval augmented generation, where it's like using a database of knowledge to search and learn. And so like in telco, where 60% of customer support tickets are a question about the bill. Right? Why is it this much? Why was I charged this fee?
Right.
Right? And so it's usually a task of looking at, okay, what was the bill? Looking at your customer record of what changed. And then you probably have this question answered 1,000 times, more 10,000 times in your old tickets. put that together, right?
Right.
So the way that we've implemented it at Totogi with our customer support and also at Skyvera, where we get a lot more volume of tickets, is we start with the easy use cases. How do I change my password?
Right.
Simple, right? And then we keep giving it more and more, harder. So it's like taking on a bigger and bigger percentage of tickets. But we start with what's the big, easy ticket that you really don't need a human to answer? It's
FAQs,
yeah, you're just like, hit the forgot password. I'll send you another. Right. There's some stuff like that. And, but then you go, the hard stuff, still humans. And we just kind of eat into the pile of work with the goal of 100% of tickets are answered by AI.
Okay.
But we started in March of 23, and after about maybe 15 months, we were at maybe 70%.
Yeah.
With the goal.
This is like internal. This isn't a customer facing thing.
It's
customer facing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It is.
But we started with the easy stuff to not ruin our brand or whatever.
Dip
Right.
your toe
We had a button of like, well, I want to talk. We told them this is AI. It's training. It may make mistakes. Right.
Yeah.
We kind of set that expectation. We had a button of like, I want to talk to a human. Anyone could push it at any time and escape to the human. But after a while, it answers tickets overnight, on weekends, on holidays, right? And we don't have to, the staffing of like having 24/7 support is hard, right?
Yeah.
I think you should say what Totogi is a bit, and also you mentioned Skyvera, and people might not.
People that don't know all about me.
Before we do that, I've got your enduring job title at Totogi is acting CEO.
It is. Everyone wants to change it.
You've been acting for a long time.
I've been acting for
Why don't you just drop the acting?
I don't know. I'm kind of just, I don't know.
Is it? So I'm gonna guess the.
She's not rotating.
It's you created the company, yeah?
I did.
Yeah. And I'm assuming that you put acting because you thought, I'm the creator. Sooner or later, I'll get a day-to-day CEO, and I'll just be the.
That was the original idea. I'll get it up and going.
Boss.
It'll be like an overnight success, and then I'll get someone, and then you won't have to explain like I'm not stepping down, right? It's not like it's not big news. I'm just acting, and we hired someone, whatever. But you're right, it has been going on.
Maybe we can get a scoop for this pod. Dropping the acting.
Yeah, well, maybe
You can announce it.
Everyone I can't tell you how many times when we're doing something big, they're like, "Are you still acting?" My own team.
This isn't the
like,
first
yes,
time.
I'm still acting. I'm not going to change it. Like one time I forgot to write acting and I wrote CEO and the team was like, "Are you dropping the acting?" I'm like, "No, thanks for reminding me."
Acting CEO, I've got a picture of someone sort of stepping on and doing some kind of Shakespearean dialogue with a skull in their hand. I, therefore, am the CEO.
I don't know. It's dumb. But
Totogi's quite young, and
in telecom years,
absolutely. What is it, and why?
So I started out with the idea to change, rewrite the software of the telco industry. And I'm in telco terms, I'm a baby. I've been around since 2017 when I became CEO of Redknee, which I renamed Optiva, and
they've just been bought by Quantel.
Yes,
I noticed.
Yes, that's saved really.
I think so. I think they had some challenges.
Like $113 million in debt and about $40 million of revenue and about $8 million in the bank unprofitable.
Sounds like the British government.
So when I came into what is now known as Optiva, I guess someone named it Quaptiva or something.
Right. Well, Quantel's a strange name because it's got a V.
Quantel?
But it's spelt with a V, though.
I always say Qvantel, but I think James...
it's like an NVIDIA thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like awkward consonants.
Too many consonants together.
So, when I came in, that's when I noticed. I was like, you guys are doing software like the 90s. It was. I went in 17. There was absolutely no use of the public cloud, even for things. I'm not talking about network stuff. I'm talking about like basic stuff.
Back office.
And I was like, this seems kind of obvious. And then I ended up leaving Optiva in 2020, and I was like, let's just do public cloud. And this is going to work. It's come to every single industry, including governments. It will eventually come to telco too.
And that's why we've always. The amount of free publicity you get out of us. Pretty much every time public cloud comes up, we name check you.
Yeah. The cheerleader.
Yeah.
So there's two sides to what I do. So there's three. There's Telco DR, which is the thought leadership. I have a podcast. I have a blog. I'm constantly all over.
Ian's
LinkedIn.
been on your pod, hasn't he?
He has. Maybe one day you'll come too.
Right. Well, I'm still waiting for my invite.
Okay, we'll do it. We'll do it. Lindsay's here. She'll write it down.
Make it so.
So previous to Optiva, I called it a turnaround CEO by software companies that were for sale for whatever reason and rehab them for high profitability. And
Right.
sometimes there was like really great tech that you could revive. Sometimes it was
So that's
just,
one of your core competencies is turning these things around.
yeah, I'm
Okay.
I'm actually really good at
No,
making
that's a really good skill
crappy
set.
companies.
That's a really good skill set because there's a hell of a lot of people who have the opposite skill set
Yeah.
who get good companies and turn them to shit. So it's nice to know. It's nice to know that some people are doing it the right way.
And they still walk away with the money.
We know a
Yeah.
few of those,
Yeah.
don't we, Scott?
No, we don't know any of them, Ian. Shut up.
So Skyvera does that, and what's nice is it generates a very healthy profit that actually helps fund Totogi.
Yeah.
So, and then Totogi is a Silicon Valley startup that's actually in Texas. So it's, brand new software, totally living the dream.
So you're Austin based.
Yeah, I'm in Austin, and
That's where Yeti comes from, isn't it?
Yeti is down the street from my house.
You're very brand loyal to Yeti.
I know.
And Matthew McConaughey.
Right?
Yes, all
and,
right, all
and
right,
Joe
all
Rogan.
right.
There you are.
Yeah.
In fact, I saw Joe Rogan in Austin.
There we are. You went to the
Yeah,
mothership, didn't
I
you?
did.
So we got that
Yeah.
drawing.
Yeah. That
Anyway.
picture was drawn in Austin that's on the wall there.
Oh.
Yeah. Which is
Yeah.
a picture of us. Although
Hanging
you
out.
can't really see it at the
Yeah.
moment.
Yeah.
Joe
I
Rogan's
was not
place.
pleased to have to wait outside. I was like, trust me.
Yeah.
You made it happen, didn't you?
Yeah.
You,
I
you
bribed
the
the
geezer
doorman.
a tenner or something.
So it's a little bit of a symbiotic relationship where if I buy some tech that could help Totogi will use it. Totogi is building new products that maybe Skyvera customers are interested in. And so the strongest example is I bought CloudSense, which is a telco-focused CPQ, configure, price, quote product, sits on top of Salesforce with a fabulous list of tier one customers. And we've been able to go to like nearly half of them and talk to them and get them to use BSS Magic.
Right.
And when they see it working,
So
it's like
Skyvera is like the fund. It's like a fund.
a little bit, yeah. I mean, it's the
Yeah.
profit. So
Yeah.
we use that I mean, I'm still returning a profit, but I use that money if I want to. I use it to either buy more companies or fund Totogi.
And Totogi's in one specific part of the BSS OSS space, which, I mean, I'm grouping it as BSS OSS because traditionally that's how
Yeah,
people
yeah.
talked about
Yeah.
it. I know things are maybe a bit
Yeah.
different now, but it's in one
Yeah,
particular bit
it's
of
focused
that,
in
isn't it?
BSS because I think when it comes to AI, that's where it's going to be the tip of the spear
Yeah. Okay.
versus network. I think it's much harder to break in as a startup, small company with new software on the network side.
So where would Totogi come in where people have been using traditional solutions, let's say, pre-2017 stuff, and what is it that you're doing that, who are you going up against, I guess? Who are the
Well, we
traditional
have-
guys?
we
What do you bring
started-
to the table?
We started with a
Puff and bear.
charging. We started with a charging product because that's what I knew
Yeah,
from
okay.
Optiva.
Yeah.
So we have a charging as a service product that runs completely in the.
Is
public
charging
cloud.
the same as billing?
It's no, it's rating.
Oh.
So it's more real time than billing. Billing is more invoicing,
Oh, okay.
right? Like in a prepaid situation.
Oh, so it's a more sort of dynamic real time.
Right. It's like for a prepaid, I'm gonna go check your balances before I let you download that YouTube video.
Right.
Oh, you're out of
right,
balance, you need to top up.
Right. I hear you now.
So
Okay.
it's kind of like an
Please ask.
ATM,
Yeah.
like a automatic teller machine, right? It's more like a money machine, right? It's a monetization engine.
And it's real time, so you to use your ATM metaphor, so you can't withdraw some money from one and then
I can't pull down
leg it to another one.
Right, and the
hope
telcos
to con it.
The telcos are like, I'm not going to give you like 1 penny extra
Yeah. Especially
data.
not on prepaid.
Right, exactly, because they don't know if they're ever going to top up again, and they're just
Yeah.
giving away free
Is
service.
that what you used to do when you were at university?
What, try and
Go
rip
to
off
one
the
ATM and then run to another one before.
I certainly remember.
Race condition, literally.
I certainly remember testing my overdraft limit a few times, but even a drunken 18-year-old Scot could be outsmarted by their
Well,
system.
no, when I was at university, I specifically picked a bank that would allow you to withdraw $5 at a time.
To limit yourself.
Right, because
Yeah, you're more sensible than I was.
some of the banks have like a minimum withdrawal number, and it was like 10 or 20.
Oh, so you could,
I needed 5.
because that's all the money you had.
I had like 7 and I couldn't access it. I'm like, I got to go to the bank that would let me pull out 5 so I could have
Right.
$2 left over. I mean, poor. It was brutal.
Yes.
So the guys who've been in telco software for years would be doing charging solutions, I guess.
Yeah, so we'd go up against Ericsson. Amdocs
Okay.
has their OpenNet purchase. Nokia had a charger, sold a charger, is building a charger again. Optiva has a charger, and so do we. And
Yeah, so
and
it's a pretty competitive market already.
It really is, and it's a heart transplant because it's it's your monetization engine. And so our claim to fame there was Zain Sudan it's one of the most active civil wars on the planet, and the rebels attacked their on-premise. They had Ericsson BSS and charging running in 2 separate data centers in the capital of Khartoum, and they got bombed. The electricity got cut.
Right.
And they were just dead. And they did it also to MTN. So there was like just zero mobile service. This was right before MWC 24. And we had been talking to them about a backup to their backup using cloud and would it work? And we designed it on paper, but they were sort of stalling. Well, about 2 weeks before MWC 24, they called us and they said, can you get we've just been cut. We're dead. We have no access to anything. Can you get charging up in 2 weeks? And I'm like, guys, you would give anyone in the world 18 months to stand up a charger, and you're giving me 2 weeks? P.S. I think I can do it. And, it took me 18 days.
I just so
awesome.
I just teased Ian about giving a softball question, but I'm going to give you the ultimate softball question. Danielle, have you recently demonstrated spinning up BSS from nothing in a very short amount of time?
I did. I mean, so that's the other big product that we've been working on, which is BSS Magic. And I talked about this also at MWC 24 with the vision of empowering CSPs and operators to build their own BSS with AI. And I think that is their dream, right? Not speaking from a vendor perspective, but if you go talk to like a Lester Thomas or a head of IT, they're like, we just want to write it. But it's been just hard to maintain. It's wide. It's huge. I mean, there's no one definition of BSS. You could say it's 5 modules. You could say it's 25 modules, right? It's it's different things to different people. They're using it in B2B, B2C situations, IoT situations. We're going to stand up a down brand. We don't want it to touch our main brand, so we have another BSS for that. So it's a very complicated situation. And I stood on stage and said, that's what we're working towards, allowing you to write your own BSS. And I remember looking in the audience, people shaking their heads and scoffing, like literally scoffing at me. And I'm like, I sort of felt like Elon Musk.
So it's a tool to build a BSS.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. And that's not like it's only...
But what happens to your charging product then if they can just do their own one? Or is it...
They can use it if they want or not or whatever. Right. Yeah. Just, it's there. It's not going away, but...
So you're not worried, which I think what Ian was asking, you're not worried about cannibalizing your own stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, that's actually the most forward way of looking at things. In fact, on the last pod, we invoked that venerable example of Kodak that sat on digital photography technology for ages because it had such a cash cow in film, and then that all went horribly wrong.
Oh, right.
So you can't...
you have to.
You can't be too afraid of cannibalizing your own cash cow.
Aren't these BSS systems that are in place at the moment are fairly complex things with, I'm guessing, I mean, they are software based, aren't they? It's not like we're talking about boxes and optical equipment and this sort of thing, but they're very complicated software tools that link to all parts of the business. I'm not in this area, obviously, so I'm trying to understand the nitty-gritty, but the idea of somebody being able to come along and kind of replicate that from AI from scratch sounds...
In a day.
People say it sounds far-fetched, I guess.
It does. And it works, which is so crazy. Our idea here is you're not going to... A tier 1 CSP isn't going to say, hey, let's replicate, our entire BSS stack with this Totogi, write our own thing and deploy it overnight. We don't think that's how it's actually going to go down. The demonstration, over the last couple of days in Dusseldorf was more about, if you can do this, you can do everything less than, easier than this.
Yeah.
This is really hard. And so we're not even arguing this is...
It's like filling gaps at first, probably, with how it could be used.
Lester Thomas, again, I love this quote. He was on a podcast with TM Forum in, I think it was 2021.
He used to be at Vodafone, yeah?
He is still Vodafone.
He's still at Vodafone. Okay.
Yeah, he's at Vodafone Group. And, he's a one of the main guys that
Yeah.
came about with TM-Forum's ODA,
Yep.
their open architecture that tries to solve this vendor interoperability problem, which is he has 5,000 BSS products installed across 20 some odd opcos. 5,000.
Yep.
They're not all from the same vendor. Right? They're homegrown systems, mainframe systems, legacy systems, Amdocs systems.
How's this? This is just a product of consolidations gone over the years. You've picked up new businesses.
Well,
you've
like
bought
I
new
said-
things and bolted it on.
Like
and
I
then
said,
before you know it, it's just
you have
one
an
big.
you have a B2C, your B2C stack, which is your main stuff. You have a B2B stack, which you're like, well, that has different needs. We just came up with a down brand of whatever. We bought something,
Yeah.
right? And so over the years, you've stitched them together. It's a pile of spaghetti mess. So when you want to replace, like, let's say one vendor makes you mad or goes out of business or whatever, right? The Optiva thing happens and you're installed there. You're deeply in the middle of the spaghetti pile. How do you take that one noodle out without
Yep.
screwing up everything? And they're stuck, right? And this is one of the reasons why they don't have agility and they can't move fast. Like launching an iPhone 17, it's probably a 6-month process to get the website updated, the catalog ready, right? The plans ready, network ready, right? Like, oh, we're going to support eSIM on this launch, right? It is not something like, oh, the new phone came out, no big deal. Let's like go live in one day. It's a pain. And so, they talk about like moving at the speed of tech codes. Why can't we be that good? And I'm like, it's this legacy crap. We got to get out of it. So BSS Magic attempts to solve that problem, and not by saying move to 100% to Togi system. I'm actually saying keep exactly what you have installed, right? We call that layer the data layer.
Yep.
Right? We connect to that. Doesn't matter what system it is, right? And then next,
This is through these APIs that you're talking about.
it could be
Alesta as well.
APIs, it
Right.
could be MCP, Model Context Protocol from the AI vendors. There's lots of different ways to access it without.
So you don't need ODA to do it.
You don't need ODA to
Okay.
do it, but
Almost makes you wonder why ODA is necessary if you can sort of use
it's
MCP or
useful.
something
It's
instead.
useful. It's a nice standard
Okay.
that everyone's agreed on, right?
Well,
And a
the
lot of
TM4
vendors.
will be shooting me when I leave
Exactly.
the pod, but
There's a lot of
That's what I
vendors.
was how daring about.
There's a lot of vendors that support it,
Yeah.
so that's
Okay.
kind of nice, right? Even Amdocs supports
Yeah.
it, right? They're moving right up the API certification leaderboard that TM4 maintains and reports on, which is great. And so, okay, now I can connect to it. And then our middle layer, which is I think where our IP really sits, is this ontology layer that understands telco. It is the context engineering. It expects to talk to BSS. It knows about BSS. And we call it the vocabulary of telco, the nouns and the verbs.
so sorry, go on.
That word ontology.
Yeah, it's come up a
is-
few times recently.
Yeah, I mean, I actually linked it. So I wrote up your story, what you just achieved in Germany.
Yep.
Simple headline. I just said Totogi automates BSS code writing, and your claim prior to it. I might as well, while I'm being generous, I might as well tell you what your claim was.
I love it.
How
I'm going to
how
just bring
turned
more
out.
beers. That's really why I do it.
I'm such a cheap date.
Beer and koozies.
Is that you were going to build 500,000 lines of BSS code in one day?
Yep.
And then Jen, who's patiently waiting outside from Liberty, sent me and Ian a follow-up email today to say what you actually did achieve.
Yeah.
And so you're going to aim for 5 core modules plus an audience-rated feature. So I guess that's your way of saying this isn't pre-prepared. You come up with something.
So this is what you've just done.
This is
Yeah,
what they've
I mean,
just done. Yeah.
we really started with the premise of no one believes us.
Yeah.
Right? The CSPs are skeptical, and I think there is a lot of AI slop out there. People saying, slideware, saying they have it.
It's attached to everything right now, isn't
How
it?
do you prove it works? And we're like, we're going to bring a coder and like code in front of you.
Yeah.
I mean, if you guys have a better idea of how to prove it, tell me.
No, I mean, I think as I wrote in the conclusion to the piece I wrote about yours, I said, I'll just read myself back. While we have no reason to question Totogi's claims, it's hard to avoid wondering if there's a catch to all this AI expedited coding. So many utopian claims are being made on behalf of AI these days that sometimes turn out to be too good to be true. And I linked to that thing about the maths that I mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then just one more sentence, sorry, mate. But it's not for us to assess the merits of this offering, only to tell you about it. Togi will doubtless be delighted to do another live demo for any potential customer that expresses even passing curiosity.
Yeah.
Sorry, Matt.
No, I think the live demos is great, because obviously that's the way to kind of.
I mean, we
show it
let
off,
anyone who asked us. I think we made over 300 commits to production.
Right.
So that's how many times we shipped to a place where AI thought it was ready to go, and anyone can go play with it. And we're like, we let anyone who wanted to touch it at the show play with it.
So the ontology thing you're talking about, though, how was that? I mean, how is this done? Basically, was this a case of leaning? I mean, you were talking earlier on about these large language models that have come out of OpenAI, and Anthropic was the other one I think you mentioned.
Yeah.
Was it sort of based on working with one of the?
So it's definitely LLM, right? There's a LLM involved.
You're not going to tell us which one, though.
And then, well, I mean, I think we're using Claude Code for the moment because it's the best coder, and
that would have been my assumption.
We like it a lot,
Yeah.
but it's set up in a way that if something better came along, we could switch. It's set up in a way that if a CSP, like SKT is really deep with Anthropic. I think T-Mobile spent $100 million with OpenAI.
Yeah.
It's set up in a way where if a CSP is like, I have a model preference, we could switch.
And there are lots of good reasons why you don't want to be monogamous with them anyway.
I mean,
and you've thrown lots of data at that you've got from your experience.
We've added a lot of telco context.
Yeah.
Right. And so, like I said, it expects to be interacting in BSS, in telco.
Yeah.
That's what it's always expecting.
Because if it's going to be that good, and it's going to be capable of working with all these different
That's
systems
what makes
and vendors,
it so good, I think, is that piece.
Yeah. So
it's not just, I do use Cursor, which is a horizontal coding development environment that very, very popular, probably the best one right now on the market that a lot of software engineers are using. We use Cursor, right, because we still need a coding environment. We use these other tools, to either, LangChain to create agents. We use these horizontal tools, but the key is that context engineering. So it's going to create something that you're really what you want for this scenario, right, for telcos.
Yeah.
You can't take this and say, okay, let's go to a manufacturing setup and go. I could not generate 500,000 lines of code for a BMW, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Because I've done a lot of work on the ontology.
So this has been worked on for like a couple of years.
2 years.
2 years, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've gone through a lot of dev teams, right?
Yeah.
I've fired, right? I'm like, you guys don't get it. You're not getting anywhere. And then we finally had a big breakthrough, I would say, in the last 9 months, where finally it was like, okay, right, it's exactly what we're looking at. But true story, right? Deutsche Telekom, obviously in Dusseldorf, they have a big office there. They're like, hey, can it do this? And we're like, go to your panel, and on the next break, it'll be done. And it was.
Right.
It was a CR.
Well, if you can actually, because that was the point of the final paragraph of my story about this, is it's all very well you demonstrating it in what's still, if you were skeptical, which some people are.
They will be.
If you're skeptical, could think is maybe a bit of a curated environment or something like that. Whereas if you're doing it in vivo, in front of people, I would have thought that's quite compelling.
Yeah.
What does what's the job of the guy?
The human, the one
network?
guy.
Yeah. So what does he do? He goes, I need a BSS thing to kind of fill in the gaps here. And I've got this problem to solve. But what's left for him to do?
So there's we have this.
Sorry.
Yeah, no. They're great, curious questions. So he is scheduling the work a little bit, right? Just watching it work. Sometimes it comes back
Is
and
it him? You're lucky.
It's stuck or something and needs more help. And so again, he is the master brain, right? He knows what we're about to go build. He knows all the features and how they connect, what the architecture should be. He knows.
But he's not actually coding, or she's not actually coding. They're putting in prompts and this sort of thing?
Correct.
They are. Okay.
Zero writing of one line of code or looking at the code.
Right.
Right? This
sophisticated prompts is basically what this person's doing.
Right. There's prompts built in because, again, it knows that we're going to build a BSS today. It knows. Yeah. It knows that context, so he doesn't have to work.
It's not like I could do this, is it?
So what? Yeah, I was going to say, following off that, what skill set does that one individual use?
Telco and AI,
right,
is really
so they need to be good at both.
Correct.
I was going to let's follow up. In fact, I went off on a tangent, not like me, is it? Earlier when we were talking about ontology, because I heard we went to. I linked to this in the story about your thing as well.
Yeah.
We went to an Ericsson BSS
Right.
thing, and there's a chap from Telstra, I think.
Yep.
And he was going on about ontology, and it was the first time I'd heard it. I mean,
Yeah.
for you, this will be old news.
Yep.
But it's the first time I'd heard it, and I looked it up, and I noted at the time it's got a broader, like, philosophical.
Yeah, well,
meaning, like the study of the meaning of life, sort of thing.
Yeah.
But in the context of AI, it's at least the way he described it, and I'll pass it to you to refine this
Right.
description. It's about making the data and the AI more useful, and part of this is through packaging the input in such a way as to sort of optimize the output. That was one of the takeaways I got from it. But you tell me, what do you
Yeah.
mean by ontology in this context?
We mean the nouns and verbs of the industry. So example nouns would be subscriber, device, SIM, cell tower,
I see.
right? And then the
And
verbs are
understanding
like
the significance of
and
those.
then the verbs are like what you can do, like onboarding, deactivating, provisioning, right? And so when you put the nouns and verbs together, I mean, you make sentences, right? What can these things, how do they interact with each other? How do they communicate with each other? What are the different states they might have? What are the different business logic you might want to add to them, right? Like the concept of a premium, types of subscribers, premium versus, prepaid versus postpaid,
Yeah.
VIP versus high ARPU VIP versus regular guy. And so these are all the things that telcos, when you think about the business of a telco, like the language that goes on
Yeah.
inside there,
Quite specific.
that's what we're trying to encapsulate,
Yeah.
right?
sense.
To train AI, right? And so I did this 5-minute speech right in front of a panel, really, really short. But this thing knows telco like your best experts know telco. Imagine if you could channel Santiago Tenorio, Yago, right, who was at Vodafone and now at Verizon, right? He's maybe one of the best thinkers of network currently in our industry. What if you could channel his brain to think about your network design?
Yeah. He wouldn't like that.
He wouldn't
He
like
probably
that.
would. I don't know.
Right.
You have to ask him.
Get
But like your best,
a Yago bot.
right? But like your best experts, right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, how do people interact, right? Like just in any business.
But is one challenge, like generative AI makes, things arguably easier for people. Like if you want to write an essay, you can put in a simple prompt and get it done, and you don't have to put in the hard work. But is one challenge with BSS Magic that it still requires someone who's very, very skilled to be able to take advantage of this.
Well-
so you're not only going to have the telco knowledge, but the AI knowledge as well, and be able to combine those. It's not like you could put Scott in there and get him to do this stuff. Sorry, I don't know why I use Scott as an example.
An example of a complete dunce.
But is there a skill? Is there oddly a kind of skills gap in terms of getting this sort of thing out? Because the telcos they might have the domain knowledge, but they don't have the AI knowledge.
Well, they don't have people that we talked about at the very beginning of the pod here, right? They don't have the skills of people who know how to wield these AI development tools, right? And that's been super key for us is building up a team that knows that and then coupling it with telco knowledge. But we've encapsulated a lot of the telco knowledge in there. And so kind of easing the load on we call them forward deployed engineers, right? Easing the load on those guys where it's like more of like, okay, really focus on the AI because a lot of it is built in, but just make sure, architect the system so that, you're just watching it. You're babysitting the code.
Right.
You're making sure it's getting done. And then like sometimes it'll say like, hey, I need help. And then the architect goes in and it's like, okay.
So it does do that.
But if you
Okay.
get like a rush of telcos wanting to take advantage of this, as I'm sure you would be very happy to have.
Yes.
Would they need like you guys to go in and sort of train them up and show them how it? Yeah. There's
Yeah.
like a sort of.
Yeah, I'm
service side of it.
actually, based on the success of the event this week, thinking about launching a service to train people for telcos at scale.
Right.
So I'll give you an example. Something that's happening in Austin is a cool program called Gauntlet AI. My son actually went through it this summer. And it's a 10-week program, 3 weeks remote, and 7 weeks in Austin to teach you how to code with AI. And the monetization, it's completely free for the participant. You're guaranteed a $200,000 job offer at the end. And the way that the
I'll do.
owners, I know it's nice. The way the owners monetize it is at the end of the program, they're letting companies hire these individuals. So they come in not really trained on AI, and they leave very skilled on AI.
Right.
And so it's a nice
And the AI industry is chucking money at talent.
I mean, there was like $100 million starting
Was that
bonuses
Meta or
that
something?
people turned down.
Yeah.
Yes.
Ian, do you remember we were in?
We're in the wrong job, Scott.
We went to New York. We went to New York a little while back.
Yeah.
And one time we were out meeting his wife Magda, and we were just sat in a beer garden, and we heard these youngish women. Let's say I'm going to guess 30s or 40s, younger than me anyway. And they were having a chat, and one of them was going, "Yeah, they offered me $1 million to stay in." And I just said, "No way." and we were just like, "Fucking hell."
You're like,
Do you remember that?
Yeah.
right? No, I think the $100 million Meta offer was turned down by the open. So it is a mega war. And I think telcos, how are telcos going to develop this talent or acquire it when
I wonder if they can afford to.
They can't. And so they're going to have to build it on their own. And I'm like, maybe we, because I've been building it. I helped the guy that runs Gauntlet AI. I helped him. I've run similar training programs, and so I kind of advised him and saw the program. My son went through cohort 2. He got 6 $200,000 job offers as a first year university kid. He's like, "Mom, should I drop out?" And I'm like, "Absolutely not." He's
Why?
like, well, I was like,
$200,000, Daniel.
well, this is what I said. I was
Just
like,
finish it later.
well, I said you've now established a floor for your market.
So it's upwards from there.
And when you graduate, you're going for $1 million out of school.
Beers are on him.
He bought them.
No, but I mean, good for him, and good for you for obviously helping him get to that spot.
But he didn't believe, right? Like he was like, and recently divorced. I don't know if you guys knew that. So I got divorced about 2 years ago.
For a minute, I thought you were saying your son was. I was thinking, God, he's really not wasting any time, is he?
But I was married.
No, I know you were, because you were Royston, and now you're Rios.
And now I'm Rios, back to my maiden name. But my ex-husband actually is a very brilliant software developer, right? Architect, right? Like principal architect at Shopify. Okay. He's now taken a CTO role.
So you're saying your son's genetically cheating?
Well, we both have computer science degrees, right? But Benjamin doesn't know how to code, right? He's a freshman at Rice studying computer science. And, we were talking about Benjamin going through Gauntlet AI before the program started. And my husband is very skeptical of AI being able to generate code. And I'm on the very opposite of the spectrum of like, it's amazing. I'm building a product that's writing code right now. And Benjamin's like, who do I listen to? My brilliant dad, or I hope he says his boyfriend.
Your husband's point's interesting because I know
you both keep saying husband. You just told her you got divorced and you called him your husband.
It's
confusing, Daniel.
It's recent.
But I guess AI coders would have the same maybe resistance to this that a writer has to having AI produce something. Yeah. And I know some people are concerned that I was chatting about this to someone earlier about AI kind of doing all of the code and how you're so far removed then from what's actually going on that it becomes. Actually, there's a guy on LinkedIn. I've got it here because he, and this wasn't specifically to do with your thing, but
just a generic.
Let me look it up.
It wasn't the troll last night on Twitter that was coming after me about this.
Oh, were you?
A little guy, yes.
He's hassling you about this BSS project thing.
He's like,
he's calling bullshit on it.
He was.
He's called Josh Anderson. I mean, he's one of those people who's got loads and loads of followers.
We can link his link in the
But he said, I spent 3 months using AI to write every line of code for a new product. Not because I couldn't code. I've been doing it for 25 years. I needed to know what happens when you go 100% AI because every client asked me the same question. How should our engineering team use AI? The product shipped, it worked. I felt productive for about 3 months. Then I needed to make a simple change and I realized I couldn't confidently modify my own product. 25 years of experience and I'd become helpless looking at code I directed an AI to write. And he goes on, but it's emphasizing that point, I guess, that you become too far removed from what you're doing that it then becomes hard to
but do you
step back into
it. And I was a developer, right? I have a computer science degree, so I totally get this world. And so when you're a developer, you literally have every line of code pretty much in your head. When you really know a product, like something's wrong. You're like, well, it's in this module. It's probably this thing. It's probably this type of problem. And you can go right to it and fix it and feel very confident about knowing where it is. And with AI, you just don't need to do that anymore, right? I think it's still important to architect it. Like you have to put some, and we've done that like for the thing that we did, over the last couple of days in Germany. We're like, okay, this is the what you're building, right? It needs to be able to support this many subscribers. It needs to, in these parts, it needs to be very performant, right? So you can't just write anything, right? And just like in school, you learn what algorithms are best for things. And so you still need to know
what
those
school
things.
you went to.
Yeah.
We didn't cover that at my school.
But I guess the concern is that the stepping stones that you would start off on are not there. I mean, I use an analogy that you'll really like because you're into tennis.
Yeah.
But you know when they completely replaced Line Calls at Wimbledon this year? For that, I know it's happened in other tournaments, but Wimbledon, it was like a big news story because they'd basically used Hawkeye to get rid of the line judges. And I mean, me and I think a lot of people looked at that and thought, well, you can't really tell if the ball's hit the chalk because it's too quick these days. It's actually quite a good move. But a lot of the umpires didn't like it because they said that's the training route for you to go through to then be an umpire. You spend time on the court, you learn how it all works, you get used to how things happen, and then you go and become an umpire. If you get rid of those people, then you lose the kind of training route to be. And it just seems to me like, I mean, it's a simple way of putting it, like this is much more complicated and therefore potentially
I think you
more
still
risky.
need to have a computer science degree, right? I mean, Benjamin through Gauntlet AI, he'll hate this story, but I'm gonna put it on the record. So the very first day, his assignment was to rewrite Grammarly, which is this little tool that writers use to help you fix your.
Some writers.
Thank
you very much.
Inside out,
Not some goddamn computer tell me how to write. Anyway, carry on.
So, it's MVP is due in 24 hours. And Benjamin is not a coder. I mean, he's only had like a couple of maths classes.
Yeah, thank you.
And maybe like an intro to computer science. And he's dabbled, but he has tears in his eyes because he's like, Mom, I can't do this. And I'm like, Benjamin.
It just seems insurmountable.
He's like, because he's thinking like a coder. He's like, I can't generate all the code that is going to be required to build this application. Yep. And I'm like, Benjamin, this is an AI training program, so use AI. And I actually spun around at my desk and I did it right there. Right. And I was like,
using the AI.
Yeah.
Just to show him how
5 minutes. It took me 5 minutes. And I was like, there's a Grammarly clone. Now, I'm sure you have some other requirements to do. This isn't the whole thing because I don't know the assignment. But and he looked at me and he was like, I'll be back, Mom. I'll be back. Right. And he worked all night.
That's an appropriate catchphrase when we're talking about AI. I'll be back.
I'll be back. So he finished it. Right. And after that first week of Gauntlet AI, he was like, Mom, you're right and Dad's wrong. AI is gonna be.
I can see why you like that anecdote.
That's great, right? So yeah,
right,
it's just a different world. It's a different way of thinking.
It is, and I get that for all my naysaying and Ludditism. I get that it's inevitable.
Yeah,
and that it can be very useful.
Right.
And it can be very productivity enhancing and all that sort of thing. And so much of it's we're still such early days. I mean, we're only really talking about it in the way we are now since ChatGPT first came along a couple of years ago. And so much of, hopefully, a good education is going to be, I don't know if specifically prompt engineering, but how to best interact with this incredibly powerful resource.
Absolutely.
Not only to make it useful for you, but also in a sort of safe way. And obviously, as I'm sure you're acutely aware, there's industry springing up to do with ethics and safety and guardrails and all that sort of thing.
But I'll say one thing, as we probably are going to change topics here in a second.
I got one last question, but you say that, and then I've got one last thing.
Which is, back in the day, we coded with punch cards, which required you to know zeros and ones to make the machine do what you wanted
binary,
to. And I'm sure there was resistance to adopting higher order, programming languages that was programming in English, C. Yeah. The C language was if then, right? And it would compile it down to the zeros and ones.
Even I've done that.
Right?
Yeah.
And so there was that shift. I think this is that same shift.
Yeah.
It's just, we're just going up higher on the chain. You still absolutely need to understand fundamental computer science principles and architecting and patterns and all that stuff. But I don't think you need to know every single line of code to support a product anymore.
So my last question is kind of builds on that, and it also is a follow-up on the question Ian asked about this concern about underlying human competence.
Yeah.
So one of your answers, sorry, I can't put it into context, but one of your answers to one of Ian's queries was like, well, you don't need that anymore, or something to that effect. My concern that I share with Ian to the point of this guy that he read out from LinkedIn, where he feels out of the loop.
Yep.
I can already see us
He
getting
is out
to
of the loop.
Well, there we are.
Yeah.
I can already see us getting to a point of automation and of AI infused activity where that was it. You say you don't need that anymore, like in terms of problem solving. But this is what I query, and I don't want to misquote you, so feel free to correct me. But if you get to a point where you've created something with AI, and then you're reliant on AI for the problem solving, but let's say for whatever reason, and this will be a segue to our next segment as well, the AI can't solve that problem, there needs to be a redundancy. There needs to be a de-escalation where you can go, all right, AI, you're dropping the ball here. The big boys
It's another AI.
are going to step in.
It's another AI.
No, a human being needs to be able to step in and go, right, I'm fucking taking over here.
Too obsessed with humans. Get rid of the humans.
Well, there we are. That's kind of the point.
Yeah, I think you can ask. And that, I saw it this summer with Benjamin and Scott, right? Where Benjamin, by the end of the summer, would take a snapshot of the bug and send a picture to Cursor and say, "This is my bug. Fix it." And then he would pick up his phone and like watch YouTube while it worked, and then he'd come back and see it. And then with Scott, ex-husband, would be like, show me your code, because he wants to go into the code. Yeah. And Benjamin just was like, AI will fix it. AI, I just need to go find it. But you could just say, hey, AI, tell me about your code so I can, if I needed to, the code's still there. You can still pull it open. Right, it's a lot.
But to the point that Ian illustrated about how this geezer reckoned he couldn't even get into the code and make sense of it.
Yeah, I mean, I
it's
not. I share that concern that what if something goes wrong? But even if it's infallible, let's say, I still think there's a concern about relying on something that eventually, if we believe what Jensen Huang and people tell us, it's going to outstrip human capability and we won't understand it.
Yeah.
And then it's a case of, what do people do, actually, I guess? If we can't have a world just of people who do prompting or something, let's say. And
why not?
I don't know.
Okay. We have a world of people who write code. I mean, it's the same thing. It's just a different kind of code.
Yeah, I know. I just feel it raises a lot of I mean, this is very futuristic sounding.
Right.
If it's a world where AI is able to do so many of the things that are done now in white collar roles, and let's say robotics is capable of actually replacing a lot of other stuff, and there's sort of questions about what people actually do that I think are different from earlier phases of automation. Very different, I think.
Yeah, I think there was a World Economic Forum stat that yes, AI is going to eliminate a lot of jobs, but it's going to create a lot of jobs more, right? And so I don't think
that's my worry, is whether it will.
I don't think we're going to have like zombie world of people who don't have jobs, or like what was that Ready Player One movie where no one was working,
VR and stuff,
right? And so everyone was living in the VR world and they didn't have work and all. I think there's been lots of technological advances. Humans.
Yeah, I know. We
talk
about this on the pod a lot, but it seems like this one's quite different because it's replacing a lot of the cognitive stuff that people have gone into when they haven't been doing manual work. And I mean, another thing was, because we are going to have to move on at some point, but I was going to ask you, like, taking a step back from that, how you feel it's going so far in telco specific, because from my observations, there's a lot of talk about AI and a lot of what it could do, but I was looking at China Mobile's numbers the other day for a bit of a deep dive, and they're regarded as this incredibly advanced, sophisticated operator that's even talking about level 5 by something like 2030, and their headcount. So their headcount is 450,000 people. Now, okay, you could say it's a big country, and then lots of people to work in stores and everything. But in 2019. It was less. So it's gone up over these 6 years of them probably starting to dabble in AI and everything. Right. And I feel a lot of these companies that have cut jobs, they've not really realised cost benefits from it. You see the margins are still quite compressed. I'm sort of wondering are telcos really benefiting from anything they're doing in automation at the moment or AI?
I haven't really seen it, right? Yeah. I don't know about the network side in terms of the automation, but I haven't seen them deploying it at scale, really, where everyone's still talking about like this 2030. It's still aspirational. It's still in the future. So we'll see. I don't know if they're going to cut jobs or shift. We have fewer people in customer support, but more people in another area. You don't roll out AI just across the company all at once. And like I was talking about earlier, I'm like, going from 0 to 1, where you're getting something working, right, is really hard. And even a small company like Totogi, like one group of my organization adopted it readily, no issues. Another one, I have to smack them. I'm like, did you use AI for this? And they're just like, you can't use AI for that. I'm like, oh, right? And we're small.
Yeah. And you'd love employing me and Ian. Get some real fucking assistance.
I'd be like, what is your deal? And so but I'll tell you another thing on the flip side of that coin is the people who've started to use it, if I said, I'm going to take it away from you now, they would be like, no way. This is amazing.
No, I get it. And I get some of it's generational.
Well, it's addictive.
Well, but
it's so
it's what you're used to. This is a generational cliche where like all young people are all into this these days when you're 54 like I am.
You thought the iPad was not going to catch on.
Yeah, exactly. My big prediction when they launched the iPad is it's just a big iPod. What's the fucking point
just
of that?
Big iPod.
You're like, hello?
Where it was a failure of my imagination was all the other ways. I mean, especially when you look at it in like retail and stuff, how ubiquitous. Anyway, but my kids' generation, my son's done a course. It certainly doesn't sound as high flying as your son's course, and he's certainly not coming home telling me he's turning down $200,000
He's
jobs.
just right, Gauntlet AI.
Yeah, I know. I might have a word.
Yeah.
Get him to listen to this pod. I go, look, Danielle's son's doing it. What's wrong with you? But he's still doing stuff, and actually, to the point of layers of abstraction, he's learning Python, which is a layer of abstraction above all the coding stuff that you know.
Yeah.
Can you get your phone down?
Oh yeah, just take it off there.
Oh, it's
probably buzzing. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry.
But so yes, I get it. With successive generations, we'll, to coin a term that you used and raise event, there will be more AI native as they grow up. Whereas people like us, and we're writers, so you're going to get a bit more resistance from us. Like I was half joking about Grammarly.
Yeah.
We're a bit precious about the words that come out of our brilliant minds. So, but it will become more endemic. It'll become more baked in. Just like for when I was at school, computers were pretty basic, weren't they? So I can see all that.
I mean, again, with writing, especially because I do a lot of writing. I'm not like as prolific as you guys are, but I write a blog every 2 weeks, and so I'll start with I know what I want to say, right? And if you understand my style, AI, let me give you some bullet points of like the facts of the story. Like I'm going to talk about blah 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 blah, and it pumps out a version that's 90% what you probably would have done, and then you go from there. You're
the
just
purist in me pushes back even on that.
But why? It's still you.
But it's not.
It's your take. It's your
me
angle.
Tweaking something that something else has done. And I know you're saying, but it's derived from me and my.
You let it.
It
is
think,
you.
I think what I'm really exhibiting here, as much as anything else, is my own cognitive inertia about the whole fucking thing.
Yeah.
I'm just like, no. But anyway, look, if you don't mind, because we've got a couple of other things we want to talk about, and we got a hard stop in about half an hour or so.
Okay, cool.
But talking about automated things going wrong.
Your favorite.
I know it doesn't time fly in.
That was fast.
Do you need another beer? Or you're all right?
No, I'm fine.
Okay.
I mean, you have your computer. Huh?
Gin and tonic?
Gin and tonic, no. Old fashioned?
Yeah.
No, my beer is actually quite delicious.
We do have like a super strength whiskey from your part of the world.
Oh my God.
If you want one.
Texas.
From Texas?
Yeah.
You to drink it. What have I done with
It's called Brimstone.
Oh,
Do you know
Brimstone. Oh my gosh.
Bit of
That's
ice.
a terrible
The
name.
guy from Exa Infrastructure bought that in.
From
Jim Fagan from Exa Infrastructure. If you know that
Okay,
company.
yeah,
They do fiber networks.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm not expecting you to start necking whiskey, although it could be quite entertaining if you did. Yes. So, previously we've... I've got to say, actually...
There's paperwork coming out.
Oh, look at her. She's prepared.
A little prepared.
You do. I thought in this last segment we did, you did a really good job. Not that I expected anything less of defending the position.
Yeah.
And you've always been a great person, speaking for herself, but I suspect Ian as well, to stress test our skepticism against.
Yeah.
Because you're well prepared, obviously, thanks in no small part to Lindsay, I'm sure.
Yes.
And you know your stuff because you're a coder and all that sort of thing. And in the past, we always used to have you as we said before, this public cloud evangelist. And a lot of our concerns were similar, which is an over-reliance on automation, over-reliance on any third party. And anyway, this week we had, there was just tailor-made ammunition for our
like
complaints.
salivating.
It was ideal timing, wasn't it?
It was. And so I'll quickly remind everyone. I'm sure this was so big. This is front page news on just regular news. I listen to Planet Rock while I'm working during the day, and they have this tiny little compressed shitty news bulletin once an hour, and it was even the front of the Planet Rock fucking news bulletin. And anyway, so it's AWS.
Well, I'll tell you why.
So I'll quickly summarize it, and then I'll pass it to you. So AWS stands for Amazon Web Services, the biggest public cloud provider in the world.
Not as big as they used to be, though.
No, but they still are, I think, a good chunk of market share ahead of...
Only in terms of market share, they're
actually... They've slowed down, but I think they're bigger. They're very huge.
Ahead of Azure second and Google third, I think.
Yeah, there's a bunch of neo clouds there now, aren't there, as well, coming along.
Well, the AI stuff,
Neo
the
clouds.
AI data centers, like Oracle and stuff,
Yeah, Oracle's doing well.
Are you sceptical about Oracle?
So let me finish this first.
Sorry.
Jesus Christ.
I mean, we could have a 4
I know you were wondering why it takes us 2 hours to do a pod. There's an illustration. Especially after we've had a couple of beers.
We'll go on to Oracle later.
Yeah, we'll get into Oracle. So let me quickly tee this up. So a hell of a lot of people rely on AWS to run their digital infrastructure.
Yep.
And they had an outage in their US East 1 region or something like that. And it led to just loads of websites going down. Most of them, they sorted it out at their end within about a couple of hours.
Yeah. It was a DNS error.
Yeah. Well, I wrote that up this morning, the actual specifics of it. And in fact, I'll come to that because, this is the one that really leans into my prejudices.
Yeah.
So my headline this morning was AWS blames massive outage on ... automation. And so they had these things go wrong, which I'm sure you know all about. But anyway, long and short of it is a lot of websites went down. For some reason, telecoms.com and Light Reading seem to be particularly badly affected.
Yeah.
Without slagging off my employer, it looks like we need to build in a bit more redundancy at our end. And we were out for most of the day, weren't we?
Yeah.
And anyway, so that's it. I'll just finish there without getting to the nuts and bolts of it. There is an example of being over-reliant on a third party, even a very good... And I'm not saying AWS is not very good. It's got where it is on merit.
Yeah.
But even a very good one, there's an example of a massive downside of that. What you got to say to that?
Yeah, I have a lot to say about that. And I wrote a blog about it in 2022, actually, called Public Cloud Outages Are Your Problem.
Oh, you're putting it back on me, are you?
Well...
It was your fault, Scott. I knew there was.
I should have known. Of course, it was my fault.
Now, I mean, I imagine
it's always my fault.
I imagine your websites are through providers, and we'll talk about that. But
yes, I'm sure.
So US East 1 is.
It's pretty old, isn't it? Now?
It's the oldest of the. It was the first. It's the oldest. It's the biggest, and it's the first place they put any new changes. And as I guess because of that risk, it is the cheapest for all the services. So a lot of startups and companies, when you're just kind of putting your services together, you'll put your stuff in US East 1.
Right.
It's cheap.
It didn't even occur to me that there was different pricing between different zones.
Right. So for example, DynamoDB, which was a service affected, it is what Totogi's charging as a service uses. We use DynamoDB. Yeah. But I don't have my stuff in US East 1 because charging cannot go down. Like that would be detrimental to Totogi.
So you're saying that a high degree of risk is priced into US East 1?
Correct.
Right. But I also heard that US East 1 is where a lot of common stuff happens to do with the control plane.
Correct.
Therefore, you almost can't avoid it unless they've done like a European software.
Yeah, so Boost Mobile. In your article.
Well, Boost Mobile went down. Though. Yeah.
Let's talk about that. Yeah. So Boost Mobile went down because they rely on a service called I guess was it S3 or it was, or Route 53. It's like their DNS routing.
Peter Adderton didn't like my article.
Oh, okay.
The founder of Boost Mobile.
Yeah.
He had a massive go at me on LinkedIn.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
On LinkedIn? Oh, interesting. Yeah. I follow him on Twitter. He's very...
So that wasn't a message. That means he was publicly having a go at you.
It was in it's like it's a comment.
Comments, right?
Thing,
so I didn't realize Boost went down, and I researched it on the way to come talk to you.
I didn't know until I started wondering if they went down, and then they sort of admitted that they went down.
They did.
But I got in touch with Down Detector, who said that they had 5,000 complaints that day that they couldn't get any signal at all.
Right.
But about 25,000 about the service. So they've got 7 million subscribers, but I think most of those are on AT&T and T-Mobile because their network is they're mainly
they have the multiple
yeah, so
networks.
I guess their whole network was not really working.
So like I wrote in my blog, you can spend more money to build more resilience into your product, right? Amazon has 4 major regions in the United States. Each region has at least 3 availability zones. An availability zone is a data center. They're usually about at least 50 miles apart, right? So you can have...
So if there's a natural disaster or something there.
Correct. Yeah. Like, will a flood happen, everywhere? Maybe, unless it's like Noah times, maybe not. But so you can do stuff with your setup at Amazon to fail over within region to another availability zone or to another region, right? So you can have cross-regional. And with more resiliency is more cost. So how resilient do you want to be?
Yeah.
So if you're a little startup, little tiny, maybe web hosting thing that's not that big, you're kind of optimizing on cost. You're going to put it into US East 1, and you're going to take the risk with the trade-off of the lower prices.
Or like reading and telecoms.com.
Right?
Apparently.
So that's what they're doing. So you could sit there and tell your provider, move literally to any other data center. It probably won't be that much more expensive, but get out of US East 1 and you won't take the hit. So that's almost always where there's outages for AWS. If you go back like 4 or 5 years, maybe even 10 years, always US East 1.
So smart CIOs have basically gone, this East 1 area, we want to pay a bit more and actually ensure that it's
so
kind of hosted.
I have
Can you avoid that control plane common like?
Yes, you can. So with Boost Mobile, they could have backup redundancy in another region for that same service to automatically fail over. They might have a little bit more latency for like the East Coast people, but you're up. It's just a little bit slower, and then you fail back over.
They always haven't done that, though.
They haven't done it, right? And probably because they're small and they were struggling with all their money.
Well, and they're also sort of giving up on their network now anyway, aren't they? So I guess they're not going to invest
what's
in it
the
now.
point?
Yeah.
So,
he's not going to like that either. You'll get more LinkedIn aggro off him for saying that.
I mean, he was the guy who founded it as an MVNO.
Right, and then it got bought.
And turned into a network.
Given that he's obviously feeling a bit defensive, I was just
like I wrote this great blog that I'm probably going to,
Even if you say so yourself.
Right, so I did not write this with AI. This is like 100% DR creation.
You didn't have the option then.
It's probably sucky, to be honest.
On the contrary. On the contrary, it's full of your personality.
I wrote it with a quill
and your unique fingerprint.
And ink. Back in the old days, but like it's a shared responsibility for resiliency, right?
Yeah, well, that's a good point.
So are you? I mean, but then I'm going to flip it, right? Vodafone had an outage here last week.
They did,
right? And they blamed it on a third-party vendor upgrade. So things are going to go down.
Well, that is exactly what Peter Adderton said on his LinkedIn thing. He said this is silly because any network can go down, and exactly like Vodafone went down, and it was like really disruptive for loads of businesses. And I take that point. I guess if
Telefonica was down in the summer.
They were.
Right?
I guess if I was going to push back on that, I'd say. When a private cloud goes down or an on-premises thing, it just affects that company. And okay, if it's a network serving millions of people, it's still bad. But if AT&T, let's say, and Verizon and T-Mobile had done what Boost Mobile's done and gone, let's rely on AWS, then it would have been really like catastrophic for.
But I was interacting with AI and I was like, how long would it take Boost Mobile to do this redundancy assuming you're still with an AWS heavy strategy, right? Given right now clearly they're in US East 1, but let's set up resiliency, 3 to 5 business days.
Right.
It's an interesting thing actually. When I wrote my thing, was that this morning? Yeah, my thing about automation, confirming my prejudices as I admit. And I said my final sentence in it, and this is interesting. I want you to tell me, even allowing for the fact that, if you don't mind me saying it, you have a bias in favour of the public cloud. Whereas I wrote, this is probably a good time to be in the redundant private cloud business. Now, I don't know what fuck I'm talking about. I'm just a journalist, but. The reason I thought of that, we obviously know about the hybrid cloud, which is it's kind of hedging your bets a little bit. And I just thought the one thing you can really trust, because what you just described, I didn't know about these different regions and these different things. So that's really interesting to know. But what you described is still, for me, a slightly, jarring sales pitch. Where like, you can have this, but it might be shit. So pay us more money and you can go and you can have a backup in case this one. It just feels like a slightly counterintuitive sales pitch. Obviously, the way I'm positioning it is the way they position it. But the ultimate one, in theory, you can trust. Although I'm sure you've got objections to that, is to have some kind of redundant private cloud, like local infrastructure.
Well, I mean, you can do that, but I think your cost goes up, right?
Exactly.
Like,
so you might as well hedge your bets on AWS or whatever.
Yeah, I mean,
would that be cheaper? Would it be cheaper to have redundancy within a different region of AWS rather than having your own private situation?
Sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
That makes sense.
Right. And especially just bringing it back to the AI thing, I see a lot of telcos wanting to build their own AI data center on-prem for sovereignty reasons or whatever. And we had a telco do an estimate. They asked us, how much would it cost for us to set up our own AI data center to do whatever they were doing. And our estimate was like $185 million.
Oh my God.
Right. And so I was like, okay, so let's just take that number. But you're in this scenario, this telco in the Middle East wants to start a new business. They want to use heavy AI. They want to do all these crazy things, and they want to host their own LLM, and they want their own GPUs. And I'm like, you have so many variables on this brand new business. You don't know if it's even going to work.
But that's quite an extreme.
Why overinvest in something that
That's
why don't you use the public cloud? Why don't you use the public cloud?
Yeah, I think
and figure out if it's going to work, and if it does, and it's great, and it's a wild success, and you still want to do your own hosting of your LLM and your GPUs, then do it at a later date.
I think what they've done is have a very extreme interpretation of sovereignty. Because Europe's vision of sovereignty doesn't necessarily mean you don't use AWS. I think at the moment you can use AWS, but it's their where the control plane sits for the European sovereign cloud with Amazon, I think, is in Germany, which is sort of suits people like Telefonica Germany and the EU. And then there's now an argument about, do we actually want US companies involved, or should it be European providers? But that's more of a geopolitics thing. But I think there's got to be a kind of middle ground between. I don't actually limit this to the public cloud, by the way. I just think this is a really sensible pushback, I think, to the argument that, we shouldn't use AWS because, we're too reliant on a few tech providers. I think these oligopolies are there in a few industries to do with tech that people just don't really realize. Like broadband infrastructure is only really provided by Nokia at scale these days. If you take out the Chinese companies, and people don't really
question.
If you say to somebody, I'm off to meet Nokia, like as I did to some friends recently, they were like, are they still in business? They're the guys who did those phones, aren't they? Before Apple came. It's like, all your network fiber infrastructure in the UK
Nokia.
pretty much comes from, because the only options otherwise are Adtran and Calix, and they have like 3% of the market. And, but the cloud ones just seems like a more worrying version of that, because so much data's going into it. So much of
as we realised this Monday, so much relies on it.
So much relies on it in terms of if people are talking about connectivity as well as just sort of information lakes and this sort of thing.
It's national security at some point.
And that, I guess that's why you get this conversation going on at the UK at the moment about the cloud services. Is it too dominated by Microsoft? And that's what's propelled these companies like Nscale into the sort of discussion. I don't know what you think about those guys, by the way.
Well, I guess it's your risk tolerance and whatnot, but they're really good at running infrastructure, right? And from a purely capitalist view of it, where would you rather spend your resources and time and money and people on your business when it's kind of a commodity thing to run servers and compute and get your chips? When you're trying to solve all these other problems and Sure, it's a concern, but at the same time, the alternative is to go do it all yourself, and now you're focusing on that, and let's say
they're never going to be able to be as good. I get that completely, and have all those services that you get from Amazon.
And so it's a business decision at the board level of what's our special sauce? And I think the ship has sailed that special sauce is running servers. You're like, just let those guys do it.
In a way, it's analogous to the AI thing. It's like you're offloading as much as possible to focus on your special sauce or core competence or whatever we want to call it. And that all makes sense. I suppose, I'm trying to think of it in our day job. I suppose if we could outsource research. And just go, if you sat down, like Ian, as I'm sure you're aware, writes more in-depth stories than I do. If he sat down in the morning and going, right, this is my theme, this is where I'm going to go, I'm going to go and make a coffee. I'm going to send this prompt to the AI and go, just give me a fucking bunch of condensed research on this for me to cherry pick from. And then it's still Ian's stuff, but it's done a lot of the legwork of the research for you. I can see that. But then even then, that might feel like a slippery slope, isn't it?
I mean, I'm almost on the other slippery slope now, where I kind of feel like you're almost overly reliant on search engines for things, especially when Gemini throws up
You guys.
you know, like you. I know, but I kind of worry about this in a big kind of
to the library.
The British Library. And go through
if you
parchments.
are not intimate with the Dewey Decimal System, you are not a writer.
He uses,
I mean, that's a little bit extreme.
Those scanners with a lamp, you know.
Yeah. So
The
microfilm. Yeah, we go.
Microfilm.
He's doing there it is. There it is. It's the head count of China Mobile
But you're right.
from yesterday's newspaper.
You're right. I mean, that's a great illustration. You know, all Ian's doing, as I've been, is being honest about our sort of cognitive resistance to this stuff. But I still.
It's still you. I'm going to argue
what you're
it's
really
still
good
you.
at. No, and what you're really good at, and where we've pushed back on you in the past, but credit where it's due. What you're really good at is seeing what's coming. Mm-hmm. To the old Gretzky thing, skating to where the puck's going to be.
where the puck will be.
And fair play to you on that. And
it is my job, right? Making calls and
Yeah.
I was going to ask because I'll forget otherwise. But the BSS Magic thing, just quickly, that's hosted with AWS. You couldn't put that on premise and do it that way.
We could if the end result could be deployed wherever you want.
Yeah.
So, like what we did this week, we were just shipping to AWS because that's like super easy to do. But if a telco's like, hey, ship to our production environment, it's on-prem, no problem.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
So super. We're not forcing that on you. Yeah.
To round off the public cloud thing, and if you've got any public cloud tangents you want to mention, then feel free. But then they're going to have to move on to our last segment. So, your point to your blog that you wrote that I can see because you printed it out. So I did.
I brought 3 copies.
All right. Cool. Yeah. I'll grab one.
Yeah.
Or we can put one in the
I
middle.
will link it in my next. Probably
where you said public cloud outages are, quote, your problem, or you put asterisks. I don't know.
I'm emphasizing your problem.
I see, yeah.
You need
2022, wow. That was
exactly. So there we are.
Daniel,
well, and you'll notice from Ian Morris, the first thing, for example, after Google outage, telcos should think.
Oh, yeah. And then I get the second one.
You get the second one.
Cool.
After Google outage, telcos should think twice about public cloud. That's from Ian. And then from Scott, the public cloud wilts.
Well, at least I'm consistent. I'm saying the same thing nowadays, aren't I?
God, my headline there seems more like an Ian Morris headline.
And I'm just like the minute that you guys were like, ooh, we're going to talk about the AWS outage. I'm like, pull up that blog from 2022.
So what I've taken from that is there are lots of tools within the public cloud to do with redundancy, because that's the biggest thing that occurs to me. Again, I'm inexpert. I'm not like you. I'm just a commentator.
Yeah.
But I understand the concept of redundancy, and I especially understand the concept of redundancy when my fucking website isn't up for half the day.
Yeah.
And it can be done, but as you say, it's a matter of resource. I wasn't
annoyed about that at all.
No, Ian was fuming.
Well, I mean,
it's a matter of resource, and you're saying the more...
and it's not that much more money to move it to Oregon or Ireland or whatever. It's not.
There aren't that many of the regions, are there? In the
US, there's only 4, but I think there's
a couple for
there's like
only
36 around the world.
There's some weird ones that only the government uses.
There's one in Frankfurt, isn't there?
Well, there's 6 in the United States,
and
and
2 in Germany.
2 are GovClouds.
Yeah,
and they're super expensive.
That's what it
they're
calls.
super expensive.
Yeah,
because they're like.
You can use GovCloud as a normal organization.
If you want like super like US people only, and it's in a cage and all these rules, like it's security clearance, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
You can totally use it. You're just going to spend more.
Yeah.
Right? Just do you need that?
The thing I was surprised by is that they don't have as many local zones as I thought they'd have. Mm-hmm. They don't have that many local zones. This is the problem, I think, with, because this isn't a security or redundancy issue, this one, is when you're putting the network in the cloud, there are things you just need where you need it to be at the edge.
Yeah, and that's
and unfortunately with AWS infrastructure, and this is why they've had this compromise where they've gone, well, we'll take our outpost servers and we'll put it in your infrastructure, but then obviously you lose a lot of the economies that you get of sort of shared like cloud, shared cloud infrastructure in a big kind of data center.
Yeah.
So I believe it on the BSS OSS side from a service point of view, but on the kind of putting Iran there, I mean, that's just crazy. Like, no.
So
one's
that's
doing
where
that.
I would tell you to spend time with Malik Rao and go see what he's doing with Telefonica Germany.
Okay.
Because he's working with Nokia, I think is actually how you say it.
We say Nokia in England.
Yeah. And
No, I know
AWS.
Malik. I speak to him at MWC usually.
Right.
sometimes.
So talk to him about how AWS has worked to extend and improve local zones
Yep.
to meet him, because he is planning to deploying his core on the public cloud on AWS.
Yep.
He's starting with like 5 million subs, but I think his plan is to do them all. Right. And he was on my podcast a couple months ago, talking about how AWS needed to understand telco requirements and kind of bend over to do it, and they modified it, and
Yeah.
it's working.
Yeah.
So to your point, it will work. There's some, maybe not out of the box.
Yeah.
Maybe not out of the box that was designed in 2015, but they're willing to do that, and they're doing that for Germany. So
we're about to move on, but I saw you beavering around Perplexity there on your iPad.
I love Perplexity. Why is
Yeah. Did you want, before I move it
I was
on,
going to pull
was
up
there
how
something
many
you were going to look at?
I was going to look up how many local zones there are,
Oh,
because I
okay.
don't have it off the top of my head.
But I get that's
two.
one thing I've taken. Yeah, fuck it, that'll do. One thing I've taken away is that redundancy thing is there. It's just a matter of resource, and I suppose to have a bit of a go at our own IT people. I don't take this personally, but one possible interpretation of the fact that our sites were down for so long on Monday was that we were under-resourced on redundancy. But again, I don't really know.
I
what
can't
we're
imagine
talking
that would ever happen, Scott.
No.
just move to another region.
Yeah, just do that, all right?
Yeah. It should be fairly easy.
Cool.
But I think that's what happens. I think startups go in US East 1 because it's cheap. Then they start to scale. And they're like, then it's like, okay, now we need to move it, which is a project. It's not like just push it. I mean, it is a little bit of a push a button, but it depends on how you set it up. And
do you
it's
think
just,
at risk of not being able to move on, but you should
But
maybe
like,
think
for
that- do you
example-
think the public cloud people could make that a bit easier? I mean, it's in their interest.
it's all in your design.
Oh, okay, fine.
How you architect it. But like, for example, I remember Netflix used to go down, and now they don't. They're not on that list anymore. And it's just people
Right.
moving out of moving out of US East 1 to
Right.
build resiliency
Okay,
into
that's
the
really
services.
interesting. I didn't know that. So, Ian, in the sort of 15 minutes we got left,
To cover the rest of the news.
yeah, cover. Well, that was one of
That was
one
on
of the
news.
segments. The AWS thing
I
was
think
one
this
of
is
the
the best
segments.
podcast ever right now. It's not just the beer talking.
No, it's great. I mean,
We only wanted
this
to
is
talk
where
about Nokia because we always do the big kit.
This is where it's a challenge to get it under 2 hours, because this is stuff we're all interested in.
Yeah, it's super cool.
And you could sort of go on forever. I always like to think that pod should just be like if you stuck a microphone on the table in the pub
Yeah.
and you're just having a
That's
chat.
that's what it's like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and maybe if you've got time after, we can put that to the test.
Okay, cool. Yeah. For sure.
Ian, Nokia had their quarterlies this week. We covered it, but I didn't write it myself. You did, so I'm going to defer to you.
Yeah, they're sort of like the opposite to Ericsson's. So, we were talking about Ericsson's revenues are kind of like on the slide a bit, but their profitability's up.
That was a third beer profitability attempt to pronounce the
I
word.
would love to tackle the software side of Ericsson and just raw. I could turn that thing into the most profitable thing.
There you go, Ericsson.
ever.
And their
It would
problem
be so
is
easy.
their problem is like RAN is just a bad place to be really at the moment.
In terms of growth.
Yeah,
and stuff.
I mean, their market share wise, they're great, obviously. So they're doing as well.
You're
as
talking
well
about
as
Ericsson, though.
Yeah, Ericsson. But they've kind of managed to kind of keep pushing up the margins. Their profits went up a lot because they sold this business called iConnective, I think, and that led to a big kind of capital gain that went down to the bottom.
But on the whole, their margins,
But their margins
they're doing all right, aren't they?
have been really good, through efficient. I mean, they're taking loads of jobs out. I mean, you talk about AI. They talk about
that
AI
helps.
quite a lot in earnings nowadays. It's quite surprising. Like, you go on these earnings calls and you used to be on them, and the executives wouldn't want to talk about AI and job losses. Whereas now, Boy Echo is like, yeah, we've taken out 6,000 jobs this year, and that's partly to do with AI.
Which had loads of people. It's great.
Yeah.
I think you'd have to. I think if you weren't, wouldn't you be questioned on well, what are you doing about it?
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
you have to.
Yeah.
You have to.
But Nokia is sort of the opposite. So they're kind of like sales are going up, but their profits are going down, basically.
Why is that?
So their sales are going up because they have a growth market that Ericsson doesn't have. So because Ericsson's only in
The fixed
really
stuff.
like Ericsson gets 70% of its revenues from radio access network stuff. Like, people aren't spending on equipment. It's like just not a good place to be. Nokia is like a much more diverse company.
Yeah.
They have this big business called network infrastructure that used to be the second biggest. It's now the biggest unit of theirs. And what that does is, like, fixed broadband's quite a good place to be in at the moment because people are spending a lot of money on fiber, like, to the home, especially in North America. There's all this merger activity going on with the T-Mobile. I can't remember the names of the companies, so I don't really cover that market. But every mobile operator seems to be buying a fixed line fiber player. But the bit that they're really excited about is the kind of optical transport and internet protocol, like Ethernet based sort of stuff that you'd use in data centers and between data centers.
The data center
all those
stuff.
Pipes, like, sorry, Dean,
and
all those
we always name check Dean when we use the word pipes because
all those
like
sort of pipes between hyperscaler facilities and neo cloud facilities. And
I mean, they should be eating that stuff. I mean,
they are.
All the crazy AI data centers.
And they've got the Infinera thing.
So their results, by the way, were flattered a bit because they acquired Infinera, which they only like finalised that I think in like March. So like organically, though, that business, I think the optical bit went up like 120% the sales, but that's obviously like
that's
bolting
not
on
necessarily
Infinera.
like for like.
But the organic rate of growth is really high. Like in network infrastructure, it's like I say high for a company that is selling like hardware and the actual like kit. It's good because it was like 11%, I think 12%.
Well, it's a great bit to be in. I chatted to someone a while back, and I'm not going to name them, but I chatted to someone a while back comparing Nokia and Ericsson's area of business, and they opined that maybe Infinera might have been a better buy than Vonage.
Yeah, well, they were asked about that on a call, Ericsson, like, are you going to go into the data center space?
Yeah.
And like, that's not what we do. They just want to be...
Well, they've left it fucking late if they're going to do it now.
Yeah. I mean, Nokia had that heritage. It wasn't like they weren't in it before. They had their own like Alcatel-Lucent stuff.
Exactly.
So,
which has turned out in hindsight to be a great buy.
they're pretty much like now, they're the only option, like for fixed broadband.
As you said
I
earlier.
was just saying, like, them and Adtran, like Ciena was trying to do some stuff in that market, but kind of withdrew a few weeks ago. And then you've only really got Huawei and ZTE as alternatives. And if you look at the optical stuff, it's like Ciena's like the market leader outside China. And then it's kind of Infinera and Nokia, you put them together. And that was the reason they wanted to do it, is to sort of bulk up. But the reason their profits are down is their mobile business, which is still their second biggest, is barely profitable. Like they've had this, we talked about this so many times, but it hasn't changed. There's losing the AT&T deal in America not that long after having lost, a few years after having lost Verizon, leaves them with only T-Mobile as a big customer over there. That is the market where like RAN vendors basically make most of their profits.
It turns out you lot pay a lot more for your mobile phones than we do in Europe.
Yeah.
Do we?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
ARPU's much
quite
higher for
significantly.
American.
Yeah. I mean, I pay
subscribers.
like maybe 50, 60 a month.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that's lower than I thought it'd be. I thought
Yeah.
it would be close to 100.
No.
Yeah, well, he pays about 12 though, so
Oh, wow.
yeah.
Well, no, I pay 60, but for all my family.
Yeah, but
So you
ARPU,
divide it by
no,
4.
that's
Yeah.
one line.
ARPU in
My-
Europe's like 20 or something.
Yeah, my
flat.
monthly bill for 3 lines is like 200.
Yeah.
So our RP's probably half something, just for the
Yeah.
sake of
I mean,
argument.
Ericsson's because they break it down by region and because they're only mobile, they're making about 40% of their sales in the US market specifically.
Wow.
The next biggest market is 6%.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
they're massively skewed. So Nokia losing
that is
AT&T was
big
like
losses.
really hurt them.
Yeah.
And they've still not really managed to like recover from that. So it's really kind of eaten into profits. And then the other reason they're not doing that well is network infrastructure is actually not that profitable because they're spending loads of money on investment in that area. So
That's right. That was a big thing that hit their
Yeah, so-
profitability,
so-
wasn't it?
Making
so
the
when you-
money on the data center infrastructure, excluding the chips, which is clearly
well,
NVIDIA.
they're making money on it, but because they're having to invest a lot in like when you merge two businesses that are kind of overlapping, I think it's quite tough at first. So there's like those integration costs. But Justin Hotard, who's the CEO, has also upped what he's spending on R&D for things like indium phosphide and silicon photonics. Because they want to get ahead of Ciena.
Yeah.
And I asked him on when the results came out, like Thursday morning, because there's like a call with reporters. Where do you think you stand against Ciena and Huawei at the moment? He's like, we're still
Behind.
we're still basically in catch-up mode. There's still more work to do there, but it's basically had an impact on their kind of gross margins. So
Is that enduring? Is there a one-off or
it's going to be longer than it
Right.
that was the point of the question. Really, is like, can we expect you to keep sort of having to spend on that area, and therefore they're looking for other areas where they can cut, but because they've got these pressure points that Ericsson hasn't done, and it's just basically cutting headcount and talking about things like AI, and it's doing well for their profitability. Nokia's doing the same thing, but Nokia's thing is really just sort of managing the, avoiding losses essentially, and then they're making a huge amount out of not a huge amount, but I mean most of the profits actually come from the, what do they call it, the licensing bit, Nokia Technologies,
IP, the IP bit,
which is it carries no costs because everything's been done by somebody else.
It's all stuff they discovered about 20 years ago.
Yeah, the cloud and the bit that does 5G software, like the 5G SA stuff, the cloud network services. I mean, that's what Ericsson was. Their event was dedicated to that, but their equivalent units doing really well as well. Actually, they're kind of highly regarded in that area. But that's it in a nutshell.
So what's the prognosis on Nokia based on that latest update? I mean,
the market reacted really well to it. I think their share price is up 10% that day.
Okay.
And,
any idea why?
Because I think three reasons. I think first, people are looking at the AI demand. It's actually starting to come, like all this story about it's a good place to be in.
Right.
Like the justification for the Infinera takeover was partly that we want to be the guys doing the optical connectivity between data centers and the Ethernet fabric stuff in data centers. Like even Nvidia with its like Mellanox takeover, they were pushing this technology called InfiniBand. Yes. But I think even they're now trying to move to Ethernet because it's more of a standard rather than a thing that one company does.
Funny, isn't it? Ethernet seems so old school.
Oh no, it's
as a technology, like as a term, it's been around forever.
Yeah, well, it has,
but it's obviously still
and there's more recent versions of it. So, but that's the stuff that's used inside to link these kind of GPU clusters. And then you get the optical connections between the data centers. So the justification for buying...
you think they would be just riding this wave. I feel like every day there's another $500 billion data center
and I think they are.
deal in some country. And you're just like,
they're the main... I don't know, I missed this
we finally got you to swear. Well done.
Scott and I met Nscale last sort of December when they were not as well known. And they were like since then they're like a much bigger story and like raising quite a significant amount of money now. But then now Nokia's like they have like an exclusivity deal with them, I think, to do a lot of the connections, and they're like they've alluded to a hyperscaler, but I don't know which one it was in the earnings report. So they're in a really good place with that.
Cool.
I think that's one reason. The other reason, their profits, even though they were down, like profitability wise, so margins, the actual numbers were better than the market was expecting.
The absolute dollar value,
which is what share prices.
And they also
future,
quit this. One of the cost saving measures, I interpreted it as a cost saving measure, was to get out of this sort of venture capital area that they were in, that was doing some passive investments. Like Justin Hotard was like, it's not really like doing anything for us. It's not an area we should be in. But because they've got rid of that, they've raised their profit outlook for the year by like 100 million, which is quite small. It's like I think they're guiding for between 1.7 and 2.2 billion for like the full year. And like
so it's a little tweak, income. But it's a kind of tweak that the market's like
that
if
kind
it's
of thing
upwards.
with a couple of other things as well. So yeah,
cool. Well, I've got one. We got to wrap up. I just on the cuff, it just occurred to me what you were pointing about these great big multi like $500 billion deals.
Well, I think there's the one in the United States. It's actually in Texas, up in Amarillo. It's like called Atlas, I think.
Yeah,
it's like the Atlas project. It's a mega data center.
Yeah,
right?
well, all the numbers involved are just crazy.
Sounds like an Ayn Rand thing.
Yeah,
I mean, it's just insanity.
So I was gonna ask you, and if we can keep this short because we've just got a couple of minutes left. How bubbly do you think the AI thing? Not from the point of view of your day job. You've done a great job of advocating on behalf of AI in the telco context, but just more generally, these 100 billion here, 500 billion there sort of deals. How bubbly do you think the whole...
Nokia got asked that on the call.
You what?
Nokia got
asked that.
Yeah.
How bubbly do you think the whole AI sector is right now?
I don't know. I mean, a little bubbly, right? I mean, especially that really great Bloomberg graphic. I don't know if you guys saw it, of like all the money
circular.
That's very circular.
The circular bit is
that feels a little bit dicey, at that level. Like certainly not my level.
So Justin Hotard got asked it on the call. I didn't ask that question. There's a Finnish journalist asked it, and Gillian actually asked it, who you know from Bloomberg.
Yeah, Bloomberg.
But he said he made the analogy with the .com bubble, and Cisco, which you'd like. But I thought he had a really interesting angle on it,
I've
which
done
was,
that one.
which was, well, I said in my story, I said like it's not an original angle, but I think what he was trying to emphasise, no, not you,
No,
because-
just joking.
I think what he was trying to emphasise was the comparison with Cisco, which even though it had like a big drop off, it was then like a dominant force in networking for like 10 years afterwards. And
Yeah.
so that was the way he
It
was.
was just
positioning it.
overhyped in the short
It was
term.
overhyped in the short term,
Yeah.
but it came back, and we want to be in that position.
It's
to be the guys
overhyped,
to do
but
this.
there's still hype, right? It's not.
Yeah.
It's not a nothing burger.
So-
It's a something burger, but
so-
maybe not as big as it is.
So it gets a little bit hype curvy.
Yeah.
And it'll level out.
We
It
just
will.
don't learn anything. We just want to keep doing it.
Yeah, well, because the incentives that are baked into bubbles and hype are, I always equate
Not
it.
if you're holding
I
the
always
bag.
equate it to musical chairs. People this sounds a bit bubbly, but it keeps going up. So fuck it, I'm not gonna
Right.
bail out.
Yeah.
I mean, famously, someone like Warren Buffett bailed out of the .com bubble curve early.
And missed out on
But
it.
then the people who hung around, who timed it perfectly, which is obviously a big if.
Yeah.
But the people who timed it perfectly were laughing.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Look, we'll wrap it up there. We've got stuff to do. We'll see how. I saw you two exchanging glances as to whether you got time to join us for a beer.
Maybe a little bit.
You'd be very welcome. It's entirely up to you. I know. When are you going back to the US?
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow. Okay.
Yeah, I came back from the Germany event to do this.
Right.
Spend the night, and then there's now
Cool.
2 nonstops to Austin on BA. So
Oh, direct to Austin.
yeah,
God,
which is
that's
nice.
handy, isn't it?
I'll land
That's
at
good.
4.
Yeah.
Right. I can
Cool.
play some pickleball if I want to. Yeah,
Pickleball. Yeah.
it's my new thing.
I
I'm
remember
going
you
to
talking
nationals.
about that before.
I won a tournament last weekend.
Oh, well done.
Oh, cool.
Going to nationals in pickleball. So
Oh,
that's
wow.
great. Yeah.
Is that what
That's
you do
great.
post tennis?
Yeah, well, I'm playing both, which is causing a little bit of brain racket
Right.
confusion.
Yeah.
But,
Different techniques, I presume.
I found like the bounce on pickleball is really inconsistent.
Yeah, I mean, it's a different game, but I mean, if you're a decent tennis player, I mean, you can just clean up with pickleball. But then at some level, you actually have to learn the game, and that's
Yeah.
I'm kind of at that transition.
Is it
so.
better to come into pickleball from tennis or from squash?
Ooh,
Because it's got that squash.
maybe tennis.
It's got that squashy thing with the backboard and
that's-
stuff.
No, that's
Paddle.
paddle. You're
Oh,
thinking of.
paddle. Sorry, I've
Paddle.
Yeah, paddle's a bit more squash.
Why do they have to have
when
a
it comes
similar
off the
fucking
back
name?
wall, it's
Pickleball
quite
is
hard.
like
Yeah.
large table tennis.
Right.
It's like
yeah,
ping
yeah.
pong and
Yeah,
tennis.
I played a lot
basically.
of paddle in Slovakia.
Yeah,
this
my
year.
bad. I was confusing
Yeah.
the two.
And
You need 4 people with paddle.
and
It's
you
like
only
about
score when you're serving, which is
Yeah, it's like
confusing.
old
That's it.
volleyball.
That's
and
it.
you play with a wiffle ball. You play with a plastic ball with holes in it.
Yeah.
Right.
So
Which
if it lands on
means-
the hole, it doesn't bound the same as it.
I read
it
a-
lands between holes. Yeah, whatever.
I read a funny article about paddle. You say it's always doubles, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Someone
same with
wrote.
pickle.
Someone wrote. Is it? Someone wrote an article about paddle that they said the reason it's so popular is because people play mixed doubles and it's a great way of flirting with each other.
Oh yeah, totally.
So-
and the
Oh,
courts
you-
are like
you-
80,
it wasn't even a surprise
The
then.
courts are like 80 quid in London as well to get
Right.
a paddle.
So it's become the
court
new
for like 1 hour.
Become the new place to pull.
Whereas
When
you
you
can get
play
And you
with
have to-
mixed
Maybe I'll give it a go.
You
Only
can
joking.
play with your mates who work for like some company that Danielle owns, and it's like they earn enough money to pay 20 quid each. But if you take your kids out,
It's
and you're like,
expensive.
it's like 80 quid for 1 hour to take my 5-year-old to sort of teach
Well, I
them
don't.
paddle. It's
I
like
don't-
no
back
chance.
to your point on, it's a big place to flirt or whatever. When you play mixed doubles, the guys are playing. They're playing big
Yeah,
across the middle.
Yeah.
They're playing like 65% of the court and like confining the women to like 20, 25.
Well,
I'm
that's
just like, F you. I can play too.
There's a lot of that as well.
Right.
But there's a lot of the guys
got-
cover.
You got to find ways of just tripping them
They're,
up
they're
or something.
mansplaining on the.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're
mean-
pickle splaining.
And then like I'm better than them, and it's just so
Paddle splaining.
Paddles.
so
I keep mixing them
annoying.
up. Okay, well,
Actually, I've never played
Anyways,
pickleball. I've only played paddle.
it's fun.
but-
on that note, given that I obviously can't distinguish between the two, we'll wrap
It's
it up
okay.
there. Danielle,
It's
it's a
fun.
pleasure again.
Yeah, super fun.
And keep in touch.
Yeah.
Next time you're in town, you got an open invitation.
For sure.
Especially while you keep bringing us such
I know.
excellent-
It's like
We should make sure. I don't know, Lindsay, if you got a shot of these with these branded things, but we'll do that. We'll do that when we finish.
yeah.
But thanks a lot. And I think we've just got the one next week. So I hope you enjoyed
No,
this.
it's afternoon next week.
Oh, it's half term next week, is it? Oh, so we got fuck all next week. Good thing we did 2 this week, isn't it?
Yeah.
So enjoy that, and you don't get another for a couple of weeks because Pierre's got to selfishly spend time with his family.
No, there is, because we're going to Dublin.
That's the week after. So we'll be
Next
recording that on
Next
like a
week
Monday.
is the last week of
Anyway,
October.
whatever. Make sure you join us for that one.